Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you could find your seats at this time, we want to begin our program. On behalf of the Indiana Track and Field and Cross Country Hall of Fame Museum, the Indiana Association of Track and Cross Country Coaches, and the Terre Haute Convention and Visitors Bureau, we would like to welcome you to tonight's Hall of Fame induction ceremony program, and most certainly to congratulate tonight's honorees. My name is Kevin Horrigan, and I will be your MC for the evening. One item of interest: the closest restrooms are located my right side out that door and just around the corner, kind of behind that wall. At this time, I would like to have Indiana Track and Field and Cross Country Hall of Fame board member, historian, and secretary Jim Brandeberry please come forward and lead us in tonight's invocation. Jim?
Let's bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, we praise you for giving gifts to men and women. And we thank you, dear Lord, for the physical gifts that you've given to our honorees here. We thank you, O Lord, for an opportunity to honor them tonight and the hard work that has brought them here. We thank you, dear Lord, for all who have made this evening possible, and we thank you for this food. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Jim. Stay here just for a second, if you would, Jim. Earlene, would you mind standing up? Ladies and gentlemen, 1 week ago today, Jim and his wife, Earlene, in the pretty blue dress there, celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. Congratulations to you two. And may your next 50 years be just as happy as the previous 50 years.
Thank you so much.
Please wait for a Hall of Fame board member to come to your table to dismiss you to go through the food, drink, and dessert lines. On the food buffet, we need 1 minute, 5 minutes, 4 minutes. I saw all kinds of fingers flashing at me there. Okay, when we're ready, although the drinks are ready, correct? So if you need tea, lemonade, water, we have 2 drink stations, and eventually we'll have 2 dessert stations on either side of the room. High chair goes to that gentleman over to your left. And then in a few minutes, we will go ahead and start the food service. Please go down both sides of the line, starting at the end where the yellow tablecloth, napkins, etc. are covered. But we're on a temporary hold. So, Dick, you're going to do your dance routine, right? Okay. All right. So we will let you know. Somebody will be around to dismiss you as soon as they are ready with the food service. Thank you for your patience. And we've just been given the thumbs up. So, board members, if you would, start releasing tables to go to the first food service lines. Again, use both sides. starting at the end with the yellow tablecloth covering whatever. Terry, welcome to the Hall of Fame Museum.
Thank you.
And congratulations
Thank
on
you.
your upcoming 2025 induction into the Hall of Fame. And tell me, what do you think of the poster with your picture on it?
Well, I'm honored. I'm humbled to be on that poster with so many great athletes and other coaches. You know, it's something that as you begin as a coach, you never think about these things, you know, many years ago. But being on that poster, being a part of this wonderful, one of the best, if not the best in the United States, track and field and cross country Hall of Fames is, I'm pretty speechless. And for me, that says a lot.
I agree. And you're right, as you look around, I mean, this is just one of many going back to 1974
Right.
of all of the people who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. It is pretty impressive with, you know, athletes, coaches, officials, contributors, whatever, Olympians, etc. But I tell you what, that's a pretty good looking picture. I'm partial to the color purple and blue, and so purple, and I'm in blue.
Exactly,
But but at any rate, it's a good looking picture. And speaking of your career, etc., you have longevity. You know, so often these days, a lot of people are here today, gone tomorrow, and you have been at Marion for 40 years as a teacher, 32 as a coach?
This is 40 years. And I was 32 as a coach, yes.
Wow. And all of those are at Marion.
Right. I did coach in South Florida and teach for 3 years before
Right.
I came to Marion. And the funny story on that was the year I got married, we came to Marion because I was ready to come back to Indiana because I grew up in Richmond and ran at Richmond. And I told my wife, we'll be in Marion for 2 years tops, and then we'll move on. and we really found the community to be a warming and welcoming community. And, you know, we had our boys there, and they all graduated from there. So being at Marion was the right move for me.
Well, that's awesome. And if I'm correct, English teacher all 40 years?
English all 40 years. Yep. So,
Oh, my. Well, you do a lot of other things, too, for the state of Indiana and high school track and cross country. One of the things Terry does, and does very well, is he's one of our meet directors for the HSR Indoor Championship. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about the HSR? They may not be aware of what it is and where it is and all that good stuff.
Oh, well, the Hoosier State Relays has, you know, it's kind of morphed into what we have now. And Bob Potter, who really is the guy who's the brainchild of this, and I kind of go on Bob's coattails, but it is a great championship. We consider it the Indoor State Championship, and you know, at the old pig barn, that's where we have it there at Fall Creek Pavilion now, which is an elite place to have a meet. You know, 5,000 people show up to watch. We have 2 divisions, and we get great sponsorship. So if you want to be a sponsor, you know, talk to Bob, or you can talk to me, or go to our website. But the HSR has become such a competitive meet, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, over the years, I ran in the old Hoosier relays and the Bomber Boiler relays back in the 70s. But this meet is so much better, so much more competitive. And we have a small school division and a big school division that we run. And it's just, I love running that meet. I love working with Bob and Lane Custer and the others that are there. And we have really made that into a premier championship meet.
Well, I have to congratulate you and Bob and Lane and everybody else associated with the HSR, because it is outstanding. The kids love it. It's a great venue, brand new track, only a couple years old. My understanding is that because of what's gone on there the last couple of years and compared to around the country, it is either ranked first or second in terms of fastest tracks in the United States, competing with the Norton Track facility, which is a beautiful facility down in Louisville, Kentucky. And next year, when will the next edition of the HSR take place?
You got me on the spot.
Just a month in the year.
March, March. I think March 28th. Maybe.
I think you're right. I think it is March 28th.
March 28th that we'll have on a Saturday. And if you love track and field in Indiana, you got to show up at this meet. I mean, you're seeing great things.
Well, Terry, thank you so much. Congratulations again. Enjoy your day and enjoy tonight also.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to you.
Well, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Well, we are here now with Felicia Johnson, who threw for Lawrence North High School back in the day. And we are in the Olympic room at the Hall of Fame Museum, and everybody in here is an Olympic athlete in one event or another, or maybe multiple events. And Felicia, I know you were kind of looking around, And I think you see some people you know, so why don't you tell us who you see that look like familiar faces?
Well, first of all, myself right there now. So, but also, first one I noticed was Ashley Spencer. We were high school teammates, and then Amber Campbell right here. I competed against her in the women's weight as a professional. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, it seems like Lawrence North has had a history of developing good throwers, that then become even better throwers in college, including some events. For example, in high school in Indiana, we don't throw the javelin and the hammer, but in college, there's many throwing events. In your case, what would you say is, either in high school or post-high school, college and beyond, what's your favorite throwing event, if you have one, or you like them all?
Oh, shot put. Definitely shot put. I say a close second is the weight throw. That's like my favorite one. My least favorite was probably discus. So I didn't like throwing discus, but shot put is definitely my favorite one.
And at Lawrence North, who was your coach?
I had Audrey Dietrich as my throws coach, along with Coach Browner as well. So I had a lot of good people helping me out.
And this Mr. Bob Potter guy, tell us the real scoop about him. Is he okay?
Oh yeah, he was one of our jumps coaches, so he was always fun, and I always enjoy seeing him around.
I saw you two talking as you entered the museum today, so getting reacquainted. You have a couple guests here with you. Why don't you introduce them?
Oh yeah, this is my mom, Loesker Johnson. This is also my sister right there. My father-in-law just popped out real quick. So, but yeah, so they're here to celebrate, and I got a lot of family coming as well.
That is excellent. Now, little sister, correct? Older sister. You're the youngest. All right. Well, did little sis, was she a thrower? Did she inspire you, or was she busy?
I started throwing because she did throwing first, and I was like, I needed something to do after basketball, and I was like, oh, that looks like fun. I don't have to run in track, so that was why I did it. So.
Well, after Lawrence North, you migrated to Indiana State University, and I think you had just a terrible career there, if I remember correctly. No, I'm just kidding. She had an outstanding career at Indiana State. Tell us a little bit about what you did there.
I won 2 indoor titles in the women's weight throw. I was a 9-time All-American there as well. So, and I think I have the school record for the weight and indoor and outdoor shot put. So,
9-time All-American. You just couldn't get that number 10, could you? No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, really. I agree. And then, as far as, again, if we look at your poster up on the upper right-hand corner, I see Rio 2016. You want to mention anything about your journey to Rio?
Yeah, so I went to the trials 3 times, so third time was a charm for me. Yeah, so that was probably one of the best days I think I've had in a while. Don't tell my husband about our wedding day, but yeah, that's one of our best days. So making that team was pretty special, so because I wasn't supposed to make it, so.
Sometimes surprises work out great. Well, Felicia, thank you for being here. Enjoy your day and enjoy tonight. Thank you. We're here now with Fred Geschwine from Providence High School, where he's had a long, outstanding career as well as at the University of Louisville. But Fred, a couple things I want to mention here is that some people might know Fred because he announces a lot of track meets, especially high-level track meets with his buddy Dennis McNulty. So, Fred, I'm going to hand the microphone over to you, and I'm just going to shut up. I'm just kidding. I'm not letting you touch this microphone. I know we'll never get it back. No, I'm just kidding, seriously.
No, you wouldn't get it back.
But you've had a long, outstanding career, and we're actually at the museum standing in front of our state championships, our reigning state championship trophies. Now, if you look around, look at those trophies, Fred, and notice, usually it just says cross-country or track state champions, but see that one word up there, reigning state champions. So these are our current champions in cross-country, male and female, and track male and female with their pictures and jerseys down below. And Fred, just out of curiosity, you know a lot of history about the Hall of Fame Museum. Tell us a little bit as you look around and see different things here, what you think of it now.
What do I think of it now? Well, if we go back far enough, I just talked to Marshall, and we talked about when I was on the Hall of Fame committee many, many, many years ago. This was, I don't know if it was even thought of. And the fact that it is here today, and all of the exhibits that we have, and all the histories, the memorabilia, and it focuses primarily on high school. This is phenomenal. I mean, I tell people wherever I go and I'm around a bunch of other track nerds, you've got to come to this place. It is the real deal. It's not a temporary thing. This is the real deal. It's a beautiful building, great location, and it is a testament to not only the people like Kevin that keep this place going, but to the athletes and officials and the volunteers here in Indiana for this track and field Hall of Fame.
Well, Fred, as a longtime track and cross-country coach, both at the high school and collegiate level, I want to ask you something that I get asked an awful lot, and I don't know the true answer to it because I've never coached at the collegiate level. So, in your opinion, what is the biggest difference between coaching high school athletes and coaching college athletes?
Well, first off, keep in mind that when I was coaching at the college level, it was back in the 80 to 85, and there was no money. But even at that time, maturity level, intensity. One of my favorite memories is I had recruited that year, back-to-back, 2 kids out of Carmel, and they, of course, are a perennial championship, and 2 kids from down south in my neighborhood. And so I had, with no money or very little money, I had 4 kids out of the top 10 in Indiana, and that's pretty, wouldn't you say that's an achievement?
Absolutely.
They came. And great young men, and they've done well in their adult life. And so we'd always have, like they still do, they have these, I call them Mickey Mouse meets. Early in the year, you just run to see what it's like. And so we run this. It's a low-key meet, even by our standards then. And these guys came across the chute, and they were just totally knackered. And I met each one of them at the end of the chute, and I said, well, this is like the state meet every week. You better get used to it. And I mean, the look on their eyes was kind of like, oh, wow. And only one of those 4 competed all 4 years there at the University of Louisville. And he did very well. And then the other 3, like I said, I hope they did well. They were certainly good men when I had them. So.
Just out of curiosity, does the name Chris Henderson, perhaps hurdler, ring a bell with you? And it's okay if it doesn't. Okay, never mind. Next question.
Okay.
No, yes, exactly. So in your career, besides all the coaching and other things that you've done, you also have worked a large amount of everything from middle school up to the Olympic trials, meets in a number of capacities, official, announcer, etc. So what event or events would you say, can you pick a couple that you really enjoyed or thought were out? They're all, I mean, Indiana has hosted so many over the last 40 years, but do you have a favorite meet or story you want to share with our audience?
Well, I think you said it. Indiana has hosted so many top-level meets forever, but to me, and of course it would vary depending on your generation. In the 80s, when we had the track down at IUPUI, and we had any number of international meets there of major significance, like the Russian-American meet, the Pan Am Games, the Olympic trials, numerous, I don't know if it's TAC or USATF, then championships. I mean, in addition to the state meets. I mean, that was pretty big time in Indiana, and that's really when I got active. And that created a lot of opportunities for me and anybody else that was a gullible track nerd at the time, because, you'd park cars, sell popcorn, work the race walk, go up to the press box and do whatever, and then come back and then work your event and then go do it the next day. And so I really enjoyed that time, that era of track and field. Now, something else I enjoyed, I just thought of this last evening. I lived down there near Louisville, Kentucky, and in the early 80s, long story short, track was going through another transition then. Do we pay the athletes? Do we not pay the athletes? I sided with the former, and we brought a bunch of All-Americans together, and we not only won it was then TAC Senior National Cross Country Championship, we also had the World Cross Country Trials there in Louisville, and of course we'd put the club together. We did all that in 1 year, and I was primarily one of the administrators there. And then I, kind of pull the strings here and say this, say that, and, smile a lot and shake hands. But still, it took a lot of work to get that done, and we did all that in a year. And that was pretty exciting stuff. Oh, and the names that were involved that you would recognize, Nick Rose and Craig Virgin.
Wow.
Now, Craig wasn't on our team, but he and Nick had some tremendous competitions back then.
They certainly did. And Indianapolis and Indiana is very fortunate to host all these meets and big time and have the big time names come here, some of whom are in our museum. But Freddie, I want to say congratulations to you going into the Hall of Fame.
You too.
Well, thank you.
You got the key, I hope.
I got the key to the restroom. How's that?
That's even better.
At our age, that's important. No, but enjoy the rest of your day.
I will.
And enjoy tonight and take a walk around and see the changes in the museum.
And there's a lot of them. You need to be here at some point. Yeah. Take care. Thank you.
Anna Rohrer, welcome to the Hall of Fame Museum, and congratulations on your upcoming induction into the same. We're standing here in the museum in front of the Midwest Meet of Champions exhibit, and that is an event that you participated in, correct?
I did, yep, senior year.
And how did you do?
I won.
And which did you run, or how many events did you run?
I just did it for cross country, so we
Okay.
just did the 5K.
So,
yeah.
so that was the Mid-East Cross Country Championship then, and with the different people who came in for that. Where was that held? Do you remember?
I'm not certain. I think it was in Ohio, but I can't remember for sure.
Yeah, because that rotated around, like the Midwest Meet of Champions in track rotated around also. And I would imagine that after your track season, you were a little busy because you had just a tiny bit successful high school career in cross country and track.
I could agree with that statement. I did have my ups and downs, though.
But you also continued that on in college and beyond. And so why don't you tell people, you went to Notre Dame. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about how you did there?
Yeah, at Notre Dame, I was a 9-time All-American and set the the school record in the 10,000, which is still standing, I believe. And then was also, I believe, a 4-time ACC champion between cross country and track.
That is just amazing. Congratulations on a great career. I have to ask, have you ever been to the Hall of Fame Museum before?
You know, when I walked in, I was telling my parents that I believe I have been here. I want to say we stopped by when I was in high school and we were coming to the meets. It kind of just, you know, when you walk into a place you haven't been in a while, it just kind of sparks the memory. So I think we visited once or twice.
Well, good for you and welcome back. And obviously, probably since that time, there's been a whole lot more that has been added. For example, if you look up around, somewhere up there is your a jersey representing your high school, Mishawaka, and the Cavemen, correct?
Cavemen,
Yeah.
yes.
So we have jerseys from all but one school. Now, some of these are schools that are no longer in existence, but for at least the current schools, there's only one that we have yet to track down and get into the museum. But it makes it a little bit more decorative with all of that up there. But we have so many other exhibits that are here. I know when I caught you for this interview, you were kind of looking around. What caught your eye as you had passed through wherever you had gotten to at that point?
It's seeing on the floor our fellow Olympic gold medalist and how far he could long jump was shocking. But also just trying to look for some of the familiar faces that I've heard of or crossed paths with throughout the years. Some that are several years older than me, some that are just a few years older, and just neat to be part of that.
And did you get a chance to look at some of the poster boards that you saw going down the hallway?
I did, yeah. Some interesting stories. Some famous people I didn't know were from Indiana.
Definitely. And did you see the one that has your likeness on it?
I did.
Did they do a good job with it?
Yes, I'll take it.
Well, Anna, thank you very much for being here. Congratulations. Again, we'll see you more later. Enjoy today and enjoy tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We're here now with Harold Vaughn from Lafayette Jefferson High School from back in the day. And first of all, I want to say thank you for being here because you came all the way from Las Vegas to be here for this ceremony today, correct?
Correct, yes. My wife and my daughter we came out, and we're just so excited to be for this induction. We're really happy and pleased.
And the reason you came from Las Vegas is because after college, you end up making your home out there. You got a job teaching in the Las Vegas Clark County School District?
Yes, I did. I had to put that put the degree together and started utilizing it. So yeah, I was out there. I taught and coached for 35 years and retired in 2012.
and had a very good career, not only in terms of length, obviously, but in terms of wins and losses and championships, some runner-up teams, state champion teams, you yourself, multiple-time Coach of the Year. Congratulations to you and all that, sir.
Thank you very much. You know, it always helps when you have a good group of assistant coaches and athletes to help to assist to get that far. But yes, I was really pleased.
That's true. You and I, as athletes, we can't do everything that they can do, at least not now, right? Correct?
That is true. If I had to run down the runway now, I don't think I could jump 10 feet.
I don't know. You look in pretty good shape. But I'm going to ask you just to move a little bit to your left, because I want our camera to hopefully be able to show this. If on this wall, we have a lot of our long jump progression for milestones in Indiana State history here at the museum. And this very last one right here, 24 feet, 3 1/4 inch, Harold von Lafayette Jefferson, set in 1973. That, sir, is an awesome jump. Come on back in here. Tell us about that jump.
Well, that was we were at North Central, and I had never met Steve Clutter before, never competed against him, and we just went back and forth, and luckily I had that last good jump.
Well, that is outstanding. Now, you notice here behind me are the landing footprints of another pretty famous Indiana-connected long jumper, right here from Terre Haute Garfield, and then Indiana University, and then the United States Olympic team. Those footprints belong to Dr. Greg Bell, the 1956 Olympic long jump gold medal champ. And how far did he jump?
25 feet, 8 1/4.
Just a little bit longer than you.
Right, yes.
And I don't know if you saw, we have a Greg Bell exhibit, and the gold medal that he won, he loans to us from time to time. Wow. So when you get a chance, make sure that you do stop by and take a look at that.
I will definitely do that.
And okay, you went to Purdue University, correct?
Yes. I competed with Jeff Bolin, was the best jumper, was our leading jumper at the time. And we also had some great sprinters, Larry Burton. And it was always fun to go to big meets, especially the Big Ten meets when you had like Washington up in Michigan State had some outstanding runners. So it was good.
Definitely. Now, you also won several major awards from Purdue. Do you recall some of those awards that you won? There's one in particular I'm going to see if you remember.
The Red Mackey Award.
Okay, let's just stop right there. The Red Mackey Award. Now, everybody I ever talked to from Purdue knows about the Red Mackey Award, or if they won it, or somebody who did win it. I'm sure in our audience there are some people that have no clue what that is. I know it's a very important and prestigious award from Purdue. Tell our viewers a little bit about that.
If I could recall, it was for academics. I could have stayed, and it would have assisted me within the to get my master's and so forth. I believe that was basically it, and probably leadership qualities and those type of things. Yeah, but it was. I was very, very pleased to earn that, but I had to move on.
There comes a time to move on, definitely. Yeah, but you're right. Academics. Leadership, character qualities. It's my understanding that is the highest award that their athletic department gives out, and you were a winner of that, recipient of it. Congratulations for that. Congratulations on your induction into the Hall of Fame here. I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay here today and tonight, and please look around and see some of our exhibits.
I will definitely do that. Thank you so much. Very pleased to be a part of this.
Thank you. We're here now with the Volz family, Drew, Deacon, Dave, and we're standing in front of the All in the Family, same family, state champions exhibit, which is a relatively new exhibit here at the museum. And first of all, gentlemen, let me say congratulations to you on welcome into your Hall of Fame today and tonight. Actually, Dave, I know you're already in the Hall of Fame, but congratulations anyway. And I want to start with kind of your thoughts, in particular, your family picture there, all Bloomington South Panthers, too. What are your thoughts on the museum so far?
This place is pretty incredible. I don't know. It's definitely cool to see all three of us up there together. Although we all competed in pole vault at the same school. Obviously, it was not all at the same time, so it's kind of cool to see all of the achievements compiled and put together in one place.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's really neat, all the little trinkets you see around here.
And if you notice, there vaulting is appears here quite a bit. For example, if you look over in that wall, there's the Johnson family out of the Hobart area, and so we've got some real royalty here with you and them in terms of pole vault competition in Indiana. You both had, and your dad had, outstanding careers. You know, at Bloomington, you had outstanding careers in college and post college. What would you say was your most favorite meet that you ever got to jump in?
I think my most favorite meet that I ever got to jump in was probably the World Championships in U20 World Championships in Poland, in Bydgoszcz, in 2016.
That's a great one. Good job. How about you?
I'd probably say the Indiana State Track meet was probably the best one.
Now, which one? Which of them did you? Which one was your favorite?
Either one of them. They were both good. Yeah.
Okay, because you're a two-time state champion. So, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, two-time, all two-time state champions. That's outstanding. Okay, Dave, I know I said I wasn't going to ask you a question, but I'm going to. So, in your time, high school, college, post-college, what's your most favorite meet that you've ever competed in?
I'd say the Olympic Games. It kind of all built up for, to that one meet. So that's kind of the pinnacle in track and field.
And that was a pretty good meet for you and for the United States, too.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
And Dave, just so our people know, your highest mark in the pole vault?
5 meters 80, 19 feet a quarter inch.
Yours?
565, 18.6.
And yours?
572 to 1810.
That's awesome. Now, I have to ask this from a family standpoint. As you said, you kind of went through at different times, maybe somewhat close to each other, but how was the rivalry when you guys were all competing in the vault against each other, with each other, even though it maybe wasn't at the same time? But did you root for each other, or did you secretly go, don't break my height?
No, we're always rooting for each other. We competed against each other quite a lot, and we're always rooting for each other.
Yeah, I'd say absolutely the same. Always rooting for each other.
And I'm sure Dad...
I can say there was always a lot of ribbing going on back and forth,
the truth comes out, right? But...
competitions in practice on Christmas Eve sometimes.
Whoa, seriously? Oh, my gosh. Okay, so did Dad ever take you over to the field house at IU at some point in time and say, go up in the catwalk and take a nosedive into the pole vault pits?
No, he never asked us to do that. No.
Sure didn't.
Is that just an urban legend, or is it really true that you dove from the catwalk down into the pole vault pits at one time?
Yeah, I plead the fifth.
And that's okay.
By the time they were old enough to pole vault, there were cages around the stairwell to prevent people from being able to get access to it.
So I think that answers our audience questions. And for further information on that subject, you can talk to Marshall Goss, and he'll give you the real scoop on that whole thing. But gentlemen, I want to say congratulations on making the Hall of Fame. Dave, it's good to see you again. I don't know if you remember or not, and it's okay if you don't. But I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. We're going to get started here in a couple minutes. I hope you enjoy the rest of this afternoon and enjoy tonight also. Appreciate it. Thank you. We're here with Ronald Goldston, who from Gary is here to accept on behalf of the 1962 Gary Tolston 4x440-yard relay team. They were state champs that year. Ron did not run on that team, the relay team, but he was a runner for Gary Tolston, and he ran on the relay the next year, and he also himself a year later was the 880 state champion in an undefeated season. Now, last year, Ronald, you got inducted into this Hall of Fame, so you've been here before. But last year, you did something very special. This nice red, white, and blue letter jacket is from Gary Tolston. It actually belongs to you, and you donated it to the museum. So I know we thanked you verbally, but now we want to thank you where everybody on the live stream can see it and appreciate your donation to the museum.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this gesture.
And we appreciate the fact that you're here to accept an award this afternoon and this evening on behalf of Gary Tolston. Unfortunately, 3 of their relay members are deceased, and 1 is training for the Senior Olympics and could not be here. So in the time that you were in Tolston High School, I obviously assume you knew most of those guys and ran with them and good teammates. But what I want to ask is, how was the rivalry between you guys and Gary Roosevelt at that time? Seems like it was pretty impressive.
It was fierce. Yeah. In fact, we couldn't even get no other teams to run against us. We had a track meet against Calumet High School, a dual meet. We beat them 113 to 12.
113 to 12.
So nobody wanted to run us. A lot of times they'll say, well, we got to run against the men today. And so what we did was, Fayetteville was also in the picture, so we just had triangular meets against Roosevelt, Towson, and Fayetteville, and that made us more strong, more competitive. But once we got to the sectionals and the regionals and the conference meets, they had to run against us. So that was, it was a great rivalry, but it was not bitter. It was complementary toward each other.
I think that's most outstanding. That's one of the things I really like about track and field. You can be rivals, but you don't hate each other. You want to beat them, but you also wish them well. What at the museum here, and I know you were here last year, but this is in particular a tribute to all of Gary track and field and cross country. What do you think in particular of this exhibit and the museum in general?
I think it's a great. Years ago, I always wanted that. Why wasn't track and field recognized like other athletes? But as soon as they got this track, hall, and field museum, I said, it's great. I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to just support it because you guys do a fantastic job. And I came down here because Willie Lewis asked me to come. I said, I'd be glad to do it. And I'm happy and honored to be here to support those that's no longer with us.
Thank you so very, very much. And for those of you that are not aware of, Ronald is himself a United States Marine Corps Vietnam veteran, 100% disability, correct? But
correct.
We want to thank you very much for your service to our country and appreciate everything that you have done. Congratulations on being in the Hall of Fame last year, and congratulations on behalf of the Gary Tolston 1962 4x440 relay. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
This is Sarah Fields, another member of our 2025 Hall of Fame induction class. Sarah, congratulations and thank you for being here. You are currently the throws coach at Bloomington North High School, but we are standing actually underneath your picture that's going to be there for a year. So first of all, tell us what your thoughts are about being inducted in the Hall of Fame, and then secondly, what do you think of this museum?
Well, being inducted is an awesome honor. Marshall surprised me last year actually at the Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony and handed me a pretty envelope with the museum's decal on it and made my day. But this museum is incredible. Just seeing all the track and field history be here, and the sport giving the sport being given the credit that I believe that it's due.
We kind of got a late start with
so
dinner.
Often I think track and field's kind of swept under the rug. But it's an amazing sport that lets all these individuals showcase their amazing talents. What you guys have done here is incredible.
Now, as you well know, there are a couple other throwers that are going in with you this year. Is that special for you? Because they're both Olympians.
I got to stand next to them in the picture, and they're big, strong, awesome young women. It makes me very, very proud. So yes, go throwers.
Go throwers, I love it. You also got to stand next to another interesting gentleman named Ronald Goldstone from Gary Tolston, and he was inducted last year, but he's representing the Gary Tolston 1962 4x440 yard relay team, which were state champs, state record holders, and they could not be here today. 3 are deceased, and 1 is training for actually a senior track and field competition. But he himself, like you, is a veteran. You, military veteran, went to West Point. He is a United States Marine Corps veteran. You were in Iraq. He was in Vietnam. I know you had a chance to talk to him briefly. So what was that like?
It's really awesome to get to see another veteran that did the track and field thing. He told me that he was drafted. I volunteered, obviously, to go to West Point, but Just really, really cool to see that, you know, someone that was such a high achiever in high school and then dedicated so much of their life and sacrificed so much for our country. Sorry, I get emotional. It's okay. Really, really awesome to meet him.
There's nothing wrong with being emotional, especially when it comes to loving your country, serving your country. You both are 100% disabled, and we want to thank you for your service and patriotism and love of your country. And I'm glad that no fistfights broke out between the Army and the Marines there. Sometimes that happens. Not really, not really. But congratulations, and not only on you, but you have done a wonderful job since you've come back to Bloomington North. Your athletes have incredible things that they've accomplished at the state level since you've come back, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Enjoy the rest of your day and this evening.
Thank you.
This is William Lightsey, and William is one of our 2025 Hall of Fame inductees, and your specialty was the long jump, and so I think it's very appropriate that we stand here in front of Dr. Greg Bell's exhibit. Dr. Greg Bell from Terre Haute Garfield, IU, and the 1956 Olympic long jump champion. Dr. Bell is himself a long jumper of extraordinary performance. So with you, I'm sure you have an appreciation for Dr. Bell and the long jump in particular. I know down the one hallway there we have representing his actual jump in distance, and people were amazed at how long he'd be in the air. Tell you what though, you were not that far behind him on your jumps. You're a pretty good long jumper too.
Yes.
But tell me what you think of this particular museum.
This is very unique, and I didn't even know it existed until I came down here, but it's really put together real well, and I like what you guys are doing here to accentuate track and field. I think that's a great thing, and we need more support for track and field. It's kind of a lost art, but it's very vital that people
Get underway. And I want to start with a few thank yous. First of all, the Indiana Track and Field and Cross Country Hall of Fame would like to thank all of our induction ceremony sponsors, which are listed towards the back of your program. You can look at that throughout the evening. We appreciate all of their support. And then we would also like to thank Karen Dyer and Amy Dinkle and the Terre Haute Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Indiana Association of Track and Cross Country Coaches for their generous support. Thanks to Bob Potter and Terry Lakes and the Hoosier State Relays for their support of this event. The 2026 HSR meet will be held at the Fall Creek Pavilion at the Indiana State Fairgrounds on Saturday, March 28th. Information, including sponsorship opportunities, may be found on the HSR Facebook page or at iatccc.org. And a big thank you also Mr. Potter and Mrs. Potter for the cookies at the reception. Thank you. Thanks to Greg Rakestraw and the Indiana Sport Corporation Sports Network for live streaming tonight's induction ceremony. The ISC Sports Network is the home of the Hoosier State Relays and Indiana's leading producer of live high school sports, and production partner for the IHSA, the Horizon League, Marian University, and much more. Let's give all these folks a nice round of applause, please. We're now going to recognize our former Hall of Fame inductees that are with us this evening and thank them for being here to help us welcome into the Hall of Fame the class of 2025. When you hear your name, please stand and remain standing until I have introduced everyone. And if you would, please hold your applause until after all have been introduced. Mike Chastain, Culver Academies. Lane Custer, West Lafayette. Mike Davidson, Ben Davis. Ronald Golston, Gary Tolston. Marshall Goss, Bloomington, Bloomington South, and Indiana University. Mike Hanna, Pendleton. Larry Henning from Carroll of Flora. Gary Hunter, Fort Wayne Northrop. Eric Kellison Franklin Central, Ann Chittard. Dick Kokert, Tri-County. Chuck Keppen, Carmel. Steve Lewick, West Lafayette. Linda McNichols, who is representing her husband John McNichols from Bloomington North and Indiana State University. Dennis McNulty, Warren Central. James Murphy, Indianapolis Bishop Chittard. Bob Potter, Lawrence North. Tom Smith, New Prairie. Doug Snyder, New Prairie. Ricky Stucker, Kokomo. Ed Stuffle, North Montgomery. And David Volz from Bloomington South. Hold your applause. Now, is there anyone else that I missed? Maybe somebody got here late. Are there any other Hall of Fame members that I have not recognized, other than the 2025 ones that are coming in tonight? Okay. Whew, thank goodness. All right. Now we'll go a round of applause for our former inductees. We'd like to take a moment to recognize deceased members of the Hall of Fame. I'd like to request that you look on pages 10, 11, and 12 of your program. Every year, as part of this evening's ceremony, we take a moment or two to remember any previously inducted Hall of Fame members who unfortunately have passed in the last year since we were together. Tonight, we will call to mind three such individuals. First, Dr. Greg Bell from Terre Haute Garfield High School and Indiana University. Dr. Bell was the very first individual to be inducted into this Hall of Fame back in 1974. Earl Smith from Gary Roosevelt High School and the University of Iowa. Earl was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1990. And Carol Toomey from Center Grove High School. Carol was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2014. You may find more information about all three on pages 11 and 12. And please note that while we try to stay informed, it is entirely possible that we may miss someone's passing. If at any time over the next year that any of you become aware of a Hall of Fame member who is no longer with us, please reach out to Marshall Goss or any other Hall of Fame board member so that we may recognize them at next year's ceremony. On our front table, you will see a vase that have 3 white roses in it. These roses represent Greg, Earl, and Carol. I'd like to now request a moment of silence. Thank you. Rest in peace. And now, Jim Brandeberry is going to talk a little bit about Greg Bell and read one of his poems. Jim?
On approximately page 12, you'll find this poem that you just heard reference to. It, of course, is with lament that we recognize the passing of Dr. Bell earlier this year. When I think of Dr. Greg Bell, I think of 26 feet 7 inches, because that was his mark, only 1 1/4 inch off of the world long jump record by Jesse Owens. And of course, Dr. Bell was an Olympic gold medalist in that event. His best mark of 26.7 would have, and I'm fond of telling people this, it would have won the indoor Big Ten championship this year. It would have won the outdoor Big Ten championship this year, and it would have won the recent NCAA championship in the long jump. So that gives you a perspective on just how outstanding Dr. Bell was as an athlete. But Greg Bell was more than just an athlete. He was much more than that, and among his talents were writing poetry. So I'm reading to you one of his poems that certainly could be dedicated to all of the Hall of Fame members, past, present, and future. There's something about a gathering where we meet now and then to reminisce and talk and share some tales of way back when. We worked and ran and jumped and threw and shared each ache and pain. That goes with everyone you knew who turned a loss to gain. The muscle pulled, the start that failed, the running out of gas, you sucked it in and never quailed because you had too much class. I look around and all I see are people I admire for all their perspicacity, their honesty and fire. Successes on the track have made them athletes of renown, but pride and being unafraid has clothed them with a crown. All these whose lives have greatly grown from seeds sown on the track have set their goals and always known they never would turn back. It is no accident that gives these folk of noble birth the quality of class that lives to show the world their worth. They all have run a greater race and ran with winged shoes, and all have faced what must be faced, and all have paid their dues. It is no strain to smile and wave and glow from wild applause, but time takes back what youth once gave, and wisdom gives us pause. A certain fact known by a few, and one that's true and tried, a champion's reign begins anew when all applause has died. Dr. Greg Bell.
Thank you, Jim. The Hall of Fame would also like to thank Dr. Bell and his family for their very generous donation to the Hall of Fame Museum of Dr. Bell's 1956 Olympic long jump gold medal. Round of applause. Would Linda McNichols and Paige Bruner please come forward for the presentation of the John McNichols Award? Linda is the wife of longtime Bloomington North High School and Indiana State head coach John McNichols, and Paige Bruner from Oak Hill High School is the incoming IAT CCC president. There's steps on the other side. Steps are on this side.
Thank you. Again, my name is Paige Brunner. I'm the head boys and girls cross country and head track and field coach at Oak Hill High School and the active president of the association. As many people have said tonight, first and foremost, congratulations to all the inductees tonight. Again, not only on amazing careers, but also thank you to being motivation for coaches like myself and athletes throughout our state. Thank you also to your families, and congratulations to your families. As all of us know, whether you're coaching or an athlete, we don't do it alone, and we have a lot of people in our lives, spouses, siblings, friends, colleagues, that make a lot of sacrifices for us to do what we love or to do what we were very successful and talented at, and we appreciate all of you as well. Thank you to the Hall of Fame staff and committee for once again putting on an amazing show and banquet, and to everybody here at the facility for the time that they have spent. It's absolutely my honor to announce the 2025 John McNichols Service Award. Again, this award is something we've been given since 2017. This award was started by then IAT CCC President Julie Alano and Vice President Rick Sluter. Both have been athletes that were coached by Coach McNichols at some point in their career. The two of them, along with Linda, on a yearly basis, select somebody who has gone above and beyond, as Coach McNichols always did, to be recognized in this facility. Coach McNichols, as many of us know, served the track and field and cross-country community here in Indiana and throughout the United States. There are so many people that have been blessed by his life and by his coaching. We as a state are blessed to have a world-famous championship cross-country course right here in Terre Haute, thanks to him and his beliefs. Each year we look for a member of the track and field and cross-country community that has gone above and beyond and served our sports as Coach McNichols once did. This year's recipient is a longtime coach. He spent 35 years as a head coach at his school. He has been involved in the Coaches Association for the entirety of his career. While he was reluctant to take a leadership position, he served as our president in 2023 and 2024. He started and continues to oversee the Mr. and Miss Track and Field Awards that some of you are had the privilege of being a part of today. And he's been part of the Midwest Meet of Champions, the Indiana Track and Field All-Star Meet throughout his career. My notes that I was given say here he worked hard last year to continue the 50th Annual Midwest Meet of Champions. That's a humongous understatement. I don't know the words to think of. Sorry, Coach Lakes, my English teacher growing up in high school. But again, tirelessly. Mike was not going to take no for an answer, or this individual. Sorry, let's let the cat out of the bag a little bit. But he was not going to allow this to not happen. And not only did we have the meet, but it was an overnight, and again, it was an amazing experience. We had Olympic athletes come and speak to the individuals, and again, it would not have happened without him. He continues to and has always shared his knowledge with other coaches, whether it be a phone call, a text, or an email. He's gotten all of those from me at some point in my coaching career. He's spoken at our clinic, and he helps every year make sure that we find the best speakers to come represent our sport and speak at our clinic to help all of our coaches and athletes be at their very best. He uses all those experiences, again, to make our sport and our state as good as it possibly can be. I never had the fortune of meeting Coach McNichols or being coached by him. I do know that I've never heard anything from anyone that doesn't let me to believe that he was an amazing coach and probably a more amazing individual and human being. I can't think of somebody that doesn't fit those characteristics more than this year's recipient, because he's an amazing coach. He's also an amazing individual. It's my honor to call him somebody that I now feel like I'm friends with, and he's a great human being as well. So it's my honor to award the 2025 John McNichols Service Award to Mr. Ben Davis himself, Coach Mike Davidson.
Congratulations, Mike. We will now begin the induction ceremony for the Hall of Fame class of 2025. Earlier this afternoon at the Hall of Fame Museum, each of tonight's inductees received a Hall of Fame Museum jacket, and I'm surprised none of you are wearing it tonight since it's so cold out, and watched their picture placed on display in the main lobby of the museum, where it will remain for the next year. Inductees, when I announce your name, we'd like you to please make your way forward to the table in front of the podium. And you're going to meet Hall of Fame board members Ed Stuffle and Larry Henning, and who you've already met, Indiana, come on back up here, Paige, Indiana Association of Track and Cross Country Coaches incoming president, Paige Bruner. And to commemorate tonight's induction, you are each going to be receiving from them a Hall of Fame pin, a Hall of Fame medal, and a Hall of Fame plaque. After you have received these three awards, you will then move over here, just like Mike Davidson did, and we'll have a picture taken. Our first inductee tonight in the female athlete category is Anna Rohrer from Mishawaka. Now, we're going a little bit out of order in the program, and I promise we'll get back to it, but Anna is a recent mother of a 10-month-old named Vincent, and she's going to need to leave in a little bit to go back and take care of Vincent. Moms, I think you know what I'm talking about. Anna was a two-time cross-country and four-time track IHSA state champion. She also is the state cross-country record holder at 16:54. Anna was a two-time Foot Locker and two-time New Balance national champion. During her senior year, Anna set a national record in the indoor 5,000 run with a time of 16:10 and set a state record in the 3,200 run at 9:59.56, which caused her to become the very first ever Indiana female athlete to break the 10-minute barrier for this particular event. She was the Indiana Gatorade Cross Country Runner of the Year in 2012 and 2014, and the Gatorade National Girls Cross Country Runner of the Year for 2014-2015. Anna attended the University of Notre Dame, where she earned a BA in neuroscience and an MS in business management. That's an interesting combination. She became a 5-time ACC conference champion, set a school record in the 10,000-meter run at 31:38, and was a 9-time All-American. In 2023, Anna placed in the top 10 American women at the Boston Marathon with a time of 2:30.51. Sorry, Fred Geschwine, she beat you in the marathon. Her time is an Indiana High School alumni record for that event. In 2024, she qualified for the Olympic trials in both the half marathon and the marathon. Oh, and by the way, when Anna won the mini marathon last year, 2024, she was 23 weeks pregnant, which means technically your son Vincent is the youngest ever winner of the Indy Mini Marathon because of the torso rule. So congratulations to you and to Vincent. I had the great pleasure to hear Anna speak to the Guerin track and field teams this past March, and her words were wonderful and I think taken to heart because we had a lot of our guys and gals get to the state meet. So one of those athletes, Zoe, please wave at Anna, is with us tonight. So she very much appreciated your words too. Congratulations, Anna. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. And it's your turn to say whatever you want to say.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin, and thank you, Marshall, wherever you are, for just keeping the Hall of Fame up and running and adding so many exceptional athletes that we get to honor today. But as I was walking through the Hall of Fame earlier and just looking around at so many people that I now get to share a photo on the wall with, it had me thinking about what goes into being an athlete at such a high caliber, as everyone here and everyone in the Hall of Fame. And some of it's talent, of course. You have to have some natural talent. But so much of it is the environment that you're in. And at Mishawaka High School, I'm very, very grateful that we had a high school that supported athletes being involved in other activities. And because of that, I was able to be part of the marching band, the school newspaper, and all sorts of activities. And Kevin read off a lot of accomplishments. There are a lot of really big injuries and trials that I also faced. And if I wasn't in an environment that allowed me to be more than just a runner, I don't know if I would have been able to keep with the sport, and especially not keep with it for such a long time. So I'm very grateful for my high school and my parents for supporting me as Anna, as wanting me to be the best runner, but not putting any extra pressure on me as well. And then also my coach, Chris Kovlesty, Coach Cove here. When you talk about an environment, you have to have a coach that knows how to train you physically, of course. But what Cove taught me was also the importance of training your mind. And I remember before our very first cross-country meet, my very first race of high school, Cove guided the entire team in a visualization for the race the next day. And that experience had such an impact on my confidence and my preparation that I, to this day, have visualized before every single race that I've ever run. And not only that, it inspired me to be in the career that I'm in now, where I am a mental performance coach for other young athletes and executives and adults. So thank you, Cove, very much for that. And last, of course, a big thank you to my husband for your continued support now as we're navigating parenthood and all the wonderful trials that
truly wonderful. That's why I'm tearing up. Just the trials that come with that, and being willing to get up early and you know, move the calendar around so I can keep training and keep chasing the dreams I have. So thank you very much, and congratulations to all the inductees.
In our Olympic category, we're going to start with Rachel Dinkoff from DeKalb High School. Rachel placed third in the shot put at the Indiana High School Athletic Association State Championship twice, and was the IHSA state champion in the discus in 2012 with a throw of 143 feet 7 inches. Rachel attended Auburn University, where she excelled in both the shot put and discus events, earning multiple All-American honors. Her best discus toss thus far is 214 feet 3/4 of an inch in 2022. Rachel represented the United States at the Tokyo Olympics and the 2022 World Championships. And Rachel is known for her mental and physical toughness. She has overcome 3 Achilles tendon injuries, tears actually, which kept her out of the Paris Olympic Games. However, modern surgery, and we were talking about that today, Rachel, doctors, etc., it's amazing what they can do, and they have repaired her. She's back in training again. She's got meets coming up next week, and hopefully all the way on for a long time in the future. And she's preparing for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. We wish you good luck. And congratulations, welcome to the Hall of Fame. Rachel, it's your turn. The microphone is yours.
Well, thank you, everyone. I must say, my heart is racing about the same speed as it was at the Olympics. But no, first of all, I just want to thank you for this amazing award. Like, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame and a place that, like, my name and my family's legacy will be at forever feels very, very special. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of that, and thank you for allowing my family to be here and to be a part of that, my family and friends. It wouldn't be possible without them, you know. And when I started this journey, it was 8th grade. I decided soccer was not for me, did not like running, so moved to track and field, and I began throwing. And basically from 8th grade, I knew I wanted to be an Olympian, and it's not an easy path. Anyone that's been on that journey or has made that journey happen, like, it's not a fluffy, comfortable path. And to have the support of, you know, my parents, my friends, my family, my coaches, it's been incredible. You know, I couldn't have done it without you guys. And, you know, and for the, so sorry. The family and friends that are watching right now on the live stream, you know, my fiance, you know, thank you for everything that you guys have done for me, you know, through this injury, through all of the injuries, and just for the support to get back. You know, it hasn't been easy, but it's been so rewarding to grow, not only as an athlete, but as a person. And thank you to everyone here for this committee, for being able to bring all these special people in my lives in one place, and a place that I can honor them and thank them. So thank you, everybody. Yeah, thank you.
So when I was interviewing Rachel earlier today, something I actually knew ahead of time, she really, really, really likes and is addicted to dark chocolate. So I gave her 2 little dark chocolate Lindt truffles. Zoe, you know how I do all that stuff all the time. But anyway, I don't need the rest of these, so I saved them, because if you didn't get enough dessert, they're all yours, girl. All right, take them to L.A.
I'm about to turn into a sprinter with these.
Whoa, there we go. Now we're talking. Next up, Felicia Johnson. Felicia is from Lawrence North High School, and she was an outstanding two-sport athlete in basketball and track and field there. She set new indoor and outdoor shot put records, as well as the discus record for Lawrence North. Felicia was a two-time Indiana High School Athletic Association state champion in the shot put in 2007 and 2008. She then attended Indiana State University right here in Terre Haute, where she became a 9-time NCAA All-American and the Missouri Valley Indoor and Outdoor Athlete of the Year in 2013. Felicia qualified for the 2012 Olympic Trials and the 2013 World University Games. She holds Indiana State University records in the indoor and outdoor shot put and the 20-pound weight throw. In 2013, Felicia placed 5th at the USATF Outdoor Championships. In 2014, she placed 3rd at the USA Indoor Championship and 2nd at the USA Outdoor Championship. In 2015, she won her first national title at the USA Indoor Championship in the weight throw with a toss of 78 feet, 11 inches. 20 pounds thrown 78 feet, 11 inches. In 2016, Felicia threw her personal best in the shot put with a toss of 63 feet, 2 1/4 inches, and represented the United States at the Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro and placed 14th. Congratulations, Felicia, and welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Ooh, Rachel, you were right. My heart is beating right now. So, but yeah, I would like to thank everybody. This is a really big honor. First, I'd like to say my dad couldn't be here. He passed away 2 years ago, so I'd like to. He would be very proud. So, sorry. So, I also like to thank my family is back there. I'm surprised they didn't start cheering and everything. So they like to embarrass me. So, but yeah, like Rachel was saying, it's a hard journey, and they've definitely helped me. I remember when I wanted to do track and field professionally, and I told my mom and dad, and they were like, "What?" So, so it's been a really big support, and they've taken me, and family has come to see me everywhere. So, also I'd like to thank my husband because he's also been a very big support. So. Just this is a really big honor, and I get more plaque and swag, so that's really awesome. So, but yeah, thank you very much.
In our relay category, the Gary Tolston High School 1962 4x440-yard relay team, consisting of Willie the Flash Lewis, Robert the Locomotive Holden, Willie the Cheetah Lloyd, and Howard Blue Jesus Harris. Now, yeah, come on, let me hear it. Good job. Yeah, nicknames are great. Now, for our younger members, I did this at the Hall of Fame Museum, although I think I see a lot of blue hairs and long in the tooth people here. But anyway, back in the day, before metrics, we were yards, feet, and inches. So when I said 440 relay, yes, 440 yards, because that's how it used to be back in the 60s, 70s, 50s, 40s, all the way back. Now, regrettably, Robert Holden, Willie Lloyd, and Howard Harris have left us for that great track in the sky. Willie Lewis, who lives in Decatur, Georgia, is still with us, and with us in a big way. He is getting ready for the Senior Olympic Games in training, and so he could not be here. I think that's excusable. He doesn't have to go to the principal's office. But we are pleased to have Ronald Goldstone here with us tonight. Now, if you were here last year, you might recall that Ronald himself ran for Gary Tolston, and he was inducted into our Hall of Fame last year. His picture went up in the museum. Got all the accolades, getting more accolades tonight. This is great. Ronald, it was very good to see you again.
Glad to be here.
Ronald actually ran on this relay team, but in 1963. So you weren't a part of it in 62, but Ronald continued on and had a great career at Tolston. In '63, that relay team that he was on was state runner-up. And in '64, he capped an undefeated season in the 880-yard run by winning the state championship. Ronald is a United States Marine who served in Vietnam and donated his Gary Tolston letter jacket to the museum last year. If you were at the museum today, I hope you got a chance to see it, the red, white, and blue. It's an immaculate shape for being that old. But thank you very much. We appreciate that donation. In 1962, Gary Tolston and Gary Roosevelt's 4x440 relay teams were considered two of the best in the country by Time magazine. 2 relay teams from Indiana in Time magazine? Now think about that for a minute. The 2 teams battled all season long, lowering their times throughout the year, and except for the regional, Tolston came out on top, setting new City of Gary, NIH-SC, and sectional records. Gary Tolston then concluded their season, because Gary Roosevelt won it in the regional, they didn't set a record there, but they won the state championship and came back with a new record time of 3:17.6, and that record stood for 14 years until Gary West broke it. Congratulations and welcome to the Hall of Fame, the 1962 Gary Tolston 4x440 relay team. Ronald, please come up here and join us. And I know you've thought long and hard all day about what you're going to say, but I have to ask a question. Where in the world does the nickname Blue Jesus come from?
It will be explained.
Awesome. Thank you, Ronald. It's all yours.
It's great to be back here again. Kudos to all of the nominees. Willie Lewis could not be here today, so I'm going to read a letter, and then I'll tell you a little bit about the relay team. This was written by Willie Lewis. First of all, I would like to sincerely thank everyone on the committee for thinking of my 1962 relay team members and me for this wonderful recognition. It is certainly the most meaningful and personal honor I received. I am really proud to have this read today as a thank you for me and my 3 other mile relay team members from 1962. I am the only surviving team members. Robert Holden, Willie Lloyd, Howard Harris are all deceased. So again today, it is very personal and meaningful moment for me. Today, I pledge to accept these plaques and present them to their rightful family members. So help me God. I must tell their story because they're unable. They're no longer with us. So just bear with me for a minute. Willie Lewis ran the first leg on Towson's 1962 mile relay team that set a new state record of 3 minutes, 17 and 16 seconds. In 1963, he set a new state record of 48.2 in the 440-yard dash. He also was placed in the Indiana Track and Field and Cross Country Hall of Fame in 2016. He was the first leg on that great relay team. The second leg of the 1962-mile relay team was Willie Lloyd. He was pure speed. Have you ever watched The Wild Kingdom on TV? You have predator animals running after prey animals for dinner. The prey animals was running for their lives. Willie Lloyd reminded me of some of those animals. He had the grace of a gazelle, the legs of a giraffe, and the speed of a cheetah. If he had one step on you, it was good night. He was gone. You were history. He was smooth as silk, faster than greased lightning, and ran like a scalded dog. You know, a lot of times when we were at the track meet, the guys from Indianapolis used to tell me, you know, the reason you guys from Gary run so fast is because you're running from the police. And I would tell them, I said, you know, you're going to see somebody on the track today, but it won't be on his uniform. It's going to be on a Towson Blue Raider. And you're going to see them run right past you. Robert Holden was the third leg on Towson's 1962-mile relay team. He was a big man. Oh, he was a big one. He stood 6'6" and weighed 265 pounds. He looked more like a football player than a track runner. He was called the locomotive. He would rumble around the track and run you down like a runaway freight train. Oh, could Big Daddy run. In 1962, Gary Roosevelt mile relay team ran the fastest time in the nation. They set a new regional record of 3 minutes and 17 7/10 of a second. They were favored to take state. They had a third leg on their relay team called Little Thunder. This was the same leg that the locomotive ran for Towson. At the same meet, the state meet, it rained all day long. The track was muddy, slow, and was like running in quicksand. On the third leg of that mile relay team, Eugene Anderson, Little Thunder, had a 20-yard lead on Robert Holden, the locomotive. The locomotive ran the Little Thunder down. He rumbled past him, and after the race, they no longer called him Little Thunder. They called him Dust Cloud because he got dusted. Towson broke the state record by 7.8 seconds with a time of 3:17.6. That was Robert Holden. The final leg of the Towson 1962-mile relay team was Howard Harris. I was the head track coach at Horseman High School in Gary in 1990s. One day a guy approached me. He stated that he used to run track for Horseman, and he asked me can he watch the team practice. He did not have any video, audio, recording equipment with him, so I said okay. He then asked me if I knew Howard Harris. I told him that I was on the same cross-country and track team with him. He stated that he ran the 440-yard dash against Harris, he thought. He stated that Harris was at the finish line and he was still on the other side of the track. I stated to him he was that good. In 1957, Gilroy Stadium was built in Gary. It cost more money to build Gilroy Stadium than Lambert Stadium in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where the Green Bay Packers are still playing. Gilroy was considered the best track stadium in the state of Indiana and one of the best stadiums in the United States. In 1960, the Pan-American Games was held in Gary at Gilroy Stadium. It was a tune-up for the 1960 Summer Olympics in Rome, Italy. Some of the best athletes in the world came to Gary to compete. You had Wilma Rudolph, Lee Calhoun, Ralph Boston, Ira Murchison, and to many other more. All of the major track meets were held at night at Gilroy Stadium. Howard Harris had a dark complexion. He wore white Puma track shoes that were made in West Germany. The shoes were unique. They only had 4 spikes. All other track shoes had 6 and 8 spikes. They cost $35 a pair, and they were light as a feather. I had a pair myself. Howard Harris was on the track at night at Gilroy Stadium. The iridescent lights would shine down on him, and he appeared to have had a blue halo around his head. He also had a blue hue around his body, so people started calling him Blue Jesus because he would work a miracle on the track. On the track, no lead was safe when he got the baton. If you had a 50, 60-yard lead on him, you were in trouble. He was flying low. He would run you down. He was running so fast that he should have had a parachute on his back to slow him down once he crossed the finish line. That was Howard Harris, also known as Blue Jesus, the miracle worker. Willie Lloyd, Robert Holden, Howard Harris, rest in peace. Thank you for all of the excitement.
In our contributor category, from Providence High School in Clarksville, Fred Geschwein. Fred taught biology at Providence for 35 years and coached cross country and track for 22 of those years. A member of the University of Louisville's first cross country team, Fred returned to U of L from 1981 to 1987 to become their coach. In 1989, he founded the Fast Freddy's Festival 5-Mile Foot Fest. I think you need a few more F's in that, Fred. And that benefits the type 1 diabetes education and also benefits this Hall of Fame museum, and we thank you for that. For over 40 years, he has directed the Clarksville Summer Running Series. Fred has officiated meets forever, and his resume ranges from middle school up to and including the World Indoor Championships and the Olympic Trials. A USATF Masters level official, he has started championship cross-country title races in each NCAA division as well as the NAIA and the USATF. Fred has been an announcer at all levels for track and field and cross country, including the national championships, usually with your buddy Dennis McNulty. Somehow, he did find time to run a marathon with a personal best of 2:33 that we've already talked about. Thank you, Anna, for embarrassing Fred. We like that. But Fred, congratulations seriously and welcome to the Hall of Fame. Fred?
Well, first off, Anna, you didn't embarrass me. It was Kevin that embarrassed me. So, you had talent. I didn't. The gentleman before me, he was talking about all the talent on his team. I was not graced with a lot of talent. Therefore, I had to make it up with a lot of heart. And I learned early on I didn't have to deal with much success that way. And so I directed my energies toward the things that Kevin talked about here, administration and officiating and things of that sort. And something I do remember very well, and we've all talked about it in here, you know, I feel very, very fortunate and thankful to be here and in this position to receive more loot. Do we get a T-shirt?
Marshall's got it.
Marshall, you got T-shirts? Okay, yeah, I just thought it came to my mind. But you know, many, many years ago, I was on the Hall of Fame committee, and all this has changed in the last 20, 25 years. You didn't do it we did it this way. You didn't do the stuff back at the museum there, which wasn't there. And, you know, I remember the hardest thing we had to do on that committee was not necessarily select the 2 or 3 names or whatever it was that's going to be on the ballot. It's what names are not going to be on the ballot, because there would always be 1 or 2. It's how'd this person get in there? Because you had about 12 or 13, whatever the categories are, you had 12 or 13 people. All of them were qualified. It's just a matter of who's going to be on there. And so these 2 got on there, or if they didn't, well, these 2 would move up, and they were certainly deserving, just as the group will be next year and the year after that, et cetera. And part of that, and we all know this, kind of snooty here, but we all know this, is, you know, the great track and field tradition that we have in this state, right? Yeah. I'm very proud of that when I go someplace. And something else I'm very proud of, and I tell people they need to come here, is this museum over here. And they don't believe what I tell them that's over there. And I said, well, you need to be there. I said, it's not a traveling show. I said, it's permanent. And I said, very impressive. And even though the thermostat doesn't work sometimes. Okay. Well, okay. So as I've gone through this, and one of the ladies here mentioned this earlier, you know, all of us have had a lot of support. We had to in some way, shape, or form. If they didn't support us, they probably didn't last in our lives very long. Okay. I tell people, you know, my family, for the most part, didn't know what the heck I was doing. And my dad once mentioned, they said, well, did you know what Fred was doing when he was doing all this stuff? And Dad said, No, we just knew he was having fun and staying out of trouble. And that's what it was, you know. And I think they only saw me run once or twice, and I was very okay with that. I didn't, you didn't have to fill out forms and wear a uniform. I was okay with that. But that was a different time. So, you know, I say, you know, my family and my non-track friends, I say, I don't know that they necessarily supported me. They tolerated me and what I did, okay? And then, of course, as us track people know, you know, there are your nerd track friends, and many of them are here tonight. And so I appreciate that, guys. They came from out of state, but not quite Montana or Seattle or wherever you guys come from. I'm very, very fortunate also, and you know that our track community, even though we don't know your name or your name or your name, we recognize faces, we probably recognize events, singlets, whatever the case may be. And when you come to something like this, you don't have that singlet on, it's who is that guy? And, oh yeah, you're that guy, yeah, or the gal, you know, whatever. And so, you know, throughout our careers, be it short or long, you know, we're out there in the rain. We're out there in the bitter wind. All right? It's about 40 degrees with a chill factor, you know, puts it down to about 28. You know, you got some snow sometimes. The dinners, the box dinners, they usually get there on time. The sweltering heat, like today, many of you mentioned, you know, there's track meets going on now. I don't know what's going on in Oregon. I don't think it's as hot out there. But if you're east of Nebraska, it's hot. And we know people that are competing today. And then, of course, you've got as of late, the loud music. Yeah, okay, we'll stop right there. So enough said on that, and that pretty much sums it up. I do appreciate, once again, being up here, being able to do this, having achieved what I've been able to achieve, and I couldn't have done it without people like you. And I was, the biggest disappointment I had about this, not that you're disappointed, is the fact that a lot of the people that know me, and it's the same in your situation, they're back home. They can't be right here. It's, you know, it's just logic. That's the way it goes, you know. Because a lot of this, I feel I did with their support, and whatever I do back home, you mentioned the races, et cetera, I don't do, it's really not that much fun for me anymore. I enjoy it because they enjoy it. And you guys and gals have do the same thing in your neighborhood, right? Yeah, so. One more thing, I forgot about this. He mentioned that McNulty and I are often doing these events together. Excuse me. And so how did that happen? Well, once upon a time, a long time ago, and it is a long time ago now, Mac was a rookie coach down in Clarksville. And at that time, I had 8 years on him, and we had loaded teams then. And so I had the credentials at that time. And so he asked me, and I could tell right away, this guy's going to be good. You know, coaches, you do that. You can tell this kid's going to be good, you know. This gal's going to be good. So he came up after me, and I'm thinking, this guy's going to be good. You're Mac now. Not me. No, I never said that about you. And and so I said, well, what do you want to do? Hot shot? And he said, well, first thing, I said, you better slow it down. I said, you're from Indianapolis. And I said, we move at a whole lot slower tempo down here. And I said, you intimidate the hell out of these people. And I said, so slow it down and you'll be all right. And I said, what else you want to do? He said, well, I want to go to the state meet. I'm going to win a state championship. I said, well, for two things. I said, number one, get out of the South. And number two, get you in a big school. And he did. And he was very successful. And a few years ago, he was up here and talked for 25 or 30 minutes. I thought, geez, you know, I cancel my order at Waffle House. Okay. And so we've gone on and we've been all over the country together. We've officiated together. We've announced together. You find this hard to believe. We even had a few beers together on occasion. Really, we did. And Kevin, I think you were there for some of them, weren't you? Yeah. So anyway, and so he was very instrumental in getting me on the ballot, and I think he filibustered you guys to get me up here. But I'm very appreciative of that and all the things that he and we have done together, and hope to keep doing together. So I better leave at that. And by the way, don't you think Kevin's done a great job up here? Yeah. He has. Yep. So thanks, Kevin. And I say that because Kevin's got to follow me, and he introduces everybody. Unfortunately, he has to introduce himself, and that's hard to do. You know, yeah. I would introduce him, but I can't read his writing. So
that's for sure.
Okay.
I don't think there's anybody I know that could read my writing. People say I should have been a doctor, and I have trouble reading my writing sometimes myself. But in the pioneer category, we're going to next recognize William Lewis Lightsey from Hammond High School. William competed for Hammond from 1963 to 1966 in the sprints and long jump. And again, for you younger people, a little bit of explanation. Back in the day, high schools only consisted of grades 10, 11, and 12. Ninth graders were considered junior high. Sometimes it was 7th, 8th, and 9th. Sometimes it was just 8th and 9th. Eventually, they put the ninth graders in at the high schools. But back in his day and a couple other people's days, high schools were only 3 years. In 1966, he won the long jump in the sectional and the regional and competed at the state meet for the second year in a row. His winning regional jump of 23 feet, 10 1/4 inches was 3 3/4 inches further than the then state meet record for that event. William attended Vincennes University and placed 5th in the National Junior College Championships. From there, he was recruited to attend the University of Kentucky, where he placed 2nd in the long jump at the 1970 Drake Relays and won the 1971 NCAA indoor long jump with a leap of 25 feet, 2 1/4 inches, which still stands as one of UK's top 10 all-time long jumps in their history. And I think it's only appropriate that we follow a U of L guy with a U of K guy, for those of you that follow a little bit about Kentucky sports. So congratulations and welcome to the Hall of Fame, William Lewis Lightsey.
Well, first and foremost, I have to give credit to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. For without him, I couldn't have done anything. So I'm appreciative of the ability that he gave me, and I'm glad that I utilized it. See, we all get gifts in life. It's what do we do with the gifts? I decided I wanted to use my gift. And I had exceptional jumping ability at an early age. And I played basketball in high school, and I found out in high school that I had a 40-inch vertical leap. So I had springs in my legs, more or less. And I'm appreciative of all my family and friends, my son from California, my daughter from Virginia, my brother, my only brother. And I knew at an early age when I was running that could get me to college. I could use my legs to get me there. And I told my brother, I said, you got to use, he played basketball in high school, and he graduated the same year that Larry Bird graduated, and my brother played on the Indiana All-Star team with Larry Bird. And he got a scholarship to North Dakota State. Because if we didn't get those scholarships, we probably wouldn't have went to college. And we utilized our gifts that the Lord gave us. So it's just amazing career that I had. I met a lot of people along the way. I had good coaches along the way, from high school to college. My college coach was Press Whalen. He was a great coach. He was more than a coach. He was also a friend. You could go to Press with any problem, and he was more like a psychiatrist than a coach. Because everybody was going to him with all their problems, you know, and I felt sorry for him after a while. So coaching is not all that people think it is. It's some challenging moments in it, but it's all worthwhile when he helps you get where you want to get to, and the workouts. It's worth it when you win. It's worth it. You pay a price. A lot of times people, they don't see the work that you're putting in, but you know what you're doing. And the results, if you put enough hard work in, the results will show. And I was very fortunate. My work showed at the end, and track helped me in many different areas of my life. I was able to take it, and the competitiveness of it. I had a business. I was in investments and things like that. And even in that field, track helped me, being competitive. When you're talking to a client and you're trying to get them to move the way you want them to move, you got to get a little competitive with them sometimes. And but track was my way out of the hood, you could say. And I'm proud to have participated in track and field. It's been a way of life for me, and my life has been enriched because I competed against a lot of great people. I went a lot of different places, and I met a lot of different people. I competed in the Southeast Conference, which is one of the toughest conferences out there. And you had to bring it every day in the Southeast Conference against Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Vanderbilt. You had to compete on a high level every time you went out there. And I was able to do that. And I walk away with true happiness in my heart because I gave it all the Lord allowed me. I gave it back on the field. And I feel so proud of that, being able to achieve what I was able to achieve. And because I wouldn't have been able to do it without the Lord's help. I had great parents. When I first started running track, they didn't know what I was doing. They just knew I wasn't getting in trouble. Because my mother, I said, I'm long jumping. She said, what? Well, back then they called it broad jumping. She said she really had trouble with that, broad jumping. So I had a hard time explaining to my mother what I was doing, you know? I said, it's not like jumping broads. It's a jump I do, you know? So with that being said, I'm glad and honored to be here today. Marshall Goss, he's been instrumental, very good man, and kind of walked me through every step of the way. And wouldn't have been able to put it all together without him. I call him up at any time. He get back and tell me what I need to do, and we follow it, and the result is here tonight. And I just thank this association for allowing me to be here. It's a beautiful building down there. I didn't even know that. I'm honored, and I'm proud to be in that building. Thank you, everyone.
And that brings us to, from Lafayette Jefferson High School, Harold Vaughn. Harold was a three-sport athlete from 1970 to 1973 in football, basketball, and track and field, and earned 9 varsity awards. In his senior year, Harold was the North Central Conference, the sectional, the regional, and the Indiana High School Athletic Association state champion in the long jump. He set a state meet record with his leap of 24 feet 3 1/4 inches, and in that meet, he jumped over 24 feet 3 separate times. He went to Purdue University where he improved to 25 feet, 3¼ inches, and there he learned how to triple jump with a best effort of 49 feet, 11¾ inches, just a quarter inch shy of that 50-foot mark. His senior year, he was named co-captain. He received the Incentive Award for Scholastic Achievement from Purdue University and the Red Mackey Award. And if you don't know what the Red Mackey Award is, find a Purdue fan and ask them. They'll be glad to tell you about it. One of the best and highest awards you can earn at Purdue University. He became a teacher and coach at the Clark County School District in Las Vegas, Nevada. His teams have twice been state runner-up, and in 2004, his team won the state championship. Harold was Southern Nevada Cross-Country Coach of the Year in '94, '97, and 2000. He also was Track and Field Coach of the Year in 2001, 2, 5, and 6. 2 of his former students received full track scholarships to Purdue University. Congratulations and welcome to the Hall of Fame, Harold Vaughn.
Good evening. I'd like to thank Marshall and the selection committee and sponsors for selecting me to be a part of the 2025 inductees into this great cross-country Hall of Fame in track and field. To my fellow inductees, congratulations on your outstanding feats as a student athlete and continued success in your present endeavors. The museum, wow, this is my first time seeing the museum, and it's very impressive, very informative, and the history that's on display shows the dedication and hard work and the amount of research that the committee has done to gather all the achievement of the athletes and coaches. And as we know from some of the inductees, many of them excelled in the nationally and internationally, coaches as well. I'd like to thank my high school coaches at Jeff, which was Robert Downing and Phil Hurt, and my coaches at Purdue, which was Dave Rankin and Michael Paline, for sharing their knowledge, positive direction, guidance, and leadership qualities. I utilized all 4 of those phases as an athlete and as a stepping stone toward when I began my coaching career as well. And I couldn't do this without my family and dear friends, and for their support. I have here tonight from Lafayette my good friend Ed Davis, Carol and Dick Henry, and my sister-in-law Ann and her son Connor. My nephew Connor just completed his 2nd season as an volunteer assistant track and field coach at Wichita State. So he's working his way up the ladder in the coaching world. And to my wife and daughter, so I thank them for their patience and understanding. And if I feel this is just a great honor. And coming from 110-degree temperature, we thought that it was going to be a little calmer, but you know, the humidity's fine for us on occasion, but oh no, it's choking us out. But no, to my family and to my wife and my daughter, they were there during the coaching year, so, you know, as coaches and athletes, you know how long meets are and all of that, and for their patience and understanding. I couldn't be here without them, so thank you very much.
Going back to our female category, I'd like to call up from Bloomington North, Sarah Fields. Sarah was a four-time Indiana High School Athletic Association state meet medal winner in the discus. In 1997, she placed 9th. In 1998, she was 4th. In 1999, she was the state runner-up. And in 2000, Sarah was not only the state champion, but she also received the Indiana High School Athletic Association Mental Attitude Award for women's track and field. And just for fun, she decided to finish 6th in the shot put too and get another medal. Sarah attended the United States Military Academy and excelled in volleyball and track and field. She won 6 Patriot League conference titles in the discus and shot put. She broke 3 of West Point's school records, the discus, the shot put, and the power clean. Now, Sarah, I have to ask, what was your power clean record?
Oh, God. 85 kilos, I think.
85 kilos, there we go. That's just a little like thimble or something, right? Okay. Upon graduation, Sarah served a combat tour of duty in Iraq and rose to the rank of captain. Following 5 years of service, she was recognized as a disabled American veteran. And Sarah, we thank you and salute you for your service to our country. She later returned to Bloomington North, where she is now their throws coach. Her charges have won 24 sectional, 14 regional, and 11 state medals since her arrival. This includes 5 individual state champions and 2 runner-ups. In addition, Sarah has coached 7 of her athletes to medal wins at the indoor HSR meet, including 3 champions and 1 runner-up. Congratulations and welcome to the Hall of Fame, Sarah Fields.
Good evening. I'm going to blubber and cry and do all that, I'm certain, so I'm really trying not to. But this is just such an immense honor, incredibly humbling to be in this group of humans. I mean, those 2 women that I get to stand up here with that threw at the Olympics, like, amazing, amazing. That's what I wanted to do when I grew up. But I felt called to take a different journey, which I'm proud that I did. Being among this group has made me, think about what I did and what I chose, and I'm still happy that I chose what I chose, but how cool to be you guys. Really, really cool. I think the folks that I want to thank the most are the coaches that I had through my career. I always say that I was kind of a feral child that kind of ran around in the woods. And one day a gentleman named Wayne Nichols, who was good friends with my parents, saw me out running around and was like, wow, that's a discus thrower. And so I tried it and I loved it. And I did it, for many, many years. And it opened doors for me that I didn't even know existed. And I've had a series of coaches since that were just those people, and it was like they handed me from person to person to person and took care of me through my career. And again, doors that I did not know existed. I didn't know what the discus was. I didn't know what West Point was. I didn't necessarily want to be a soldier, but the trajectory it put my life on was incredible. So to you coaches out there, good on you. Very, very appreciated, and you're making such a difference in young people's worlds, which is why I coach now. They asked me to coach when I got back to Bloomington. Someone found out I was home. I didn't really want them to know I was home. And they called me and said, do you want to coach the throws? And I said, absolutely not. But then he said, those coaches that made a difference for you, you want to make that difference in someone's life. And he said, also, I hear you have a little boy that throws. I was like, oh. So now I'm coaching my son, Otis, at Bloomington North, and it's been a lot of fun. And obviously, I would be remiss not to thank my parents for all the bagels at the track meets and all the energy drinks, and my fiance, Dan. Lots of patience for sure. So thank you all.
Thank you, Sarah. Representing our male athletes category, first up, Todd Byerline from Carmel High School, where he competed in both the long jump and the high jump. Todd's personal best jump of 7 feet 1.5 inches is still the Carmel School record and ranks in the top 15 all-time heights ever jumped in Indiana. Todd was a two-time state champion in the high jump his junior and senior years, winning in 1996 at 6 feet 8 inches and again in 1997 at 7 foot 0 inches. Todd competed and took first place in the high jump at the Junior Olympic High School National Championship and also won the South Pacific Games high jump competition that was held in Fiji. And Coach Chuck Keppen was with you on that journey. And I find it interesting. I did not know Coach Keppen knew how to coach high jump. Okay. Okay, we see how this works. Todd attended Stanford University, earning multiple all-conference athletic and academic honors. Todd helped Stanford to win the men's 2000 NCAA track and field championship. After Stanford, he went to the University of Michigan to study architecture, and he now designs buildings all across this country and around the world. Todd resides in Seattle, Washington, and we do believe that he gets the award for having traveled the furthest to get here, although Harold from Vegas and Felicia from Montana gave him a run for their money. I believe, oh, there it is. Hey, Larry, go grab that picture there and hold that up just for a minute, would you please? So earlier today, we had some fun with this. You might recall, if you've been to the museum, there's a Carmel room, a Carmel exhibit. And the centerpiece of the exhibit is a straight-on, full look at none other than Chuck Keppen. And so we decided we were going to replace that picture with, so we just put, we're going to, Marshall, that's going to go in the Carmel exhibit over Chuck's picture, okay? But I do want you to know, Todd, that you are an inspiration because that table over there where Zoe is, her younger sister, who'll be a freshman at Guerin, is a high jumper. And the first thing she said to me was, who is that and how can I go that? She just started going crazy. So thank you for bringing it because next year, Zan, you're going to win the state championship in the high jump, okay? So, Todd, congratulations. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. The microphone is yours.
Thank you. We'll chat later. Thanks, everybody. I am honored and honestly humbled having listened to all of the accomplishments of our various inductees this year and learning more about the Hall of Fame, seeing everything that's up there, and that was an incredible experience. I'm truly honored. Marshall and the committee, I want to thank you. Where are you? Where's Marshall? Okay, thank you. It's apparent to me just how much work you do to make this thing a reality year over year. I so appreciate it because I think our sport deserves so much recognition, and it often doesn't get it compared to the other sports that are a little more popular. And I think what we do is so worthy of recognition, and you guys are really shining a light on not just individual performances, but also, the history of this sport and in this state. So appreciate that. Thank you. I have a number of people I want to thank. A couple of them here today. Chuck Keppen, who is already featured highly in our intro, and Krochnier, who you all know, it seems. And I had the pleasure of having those two as my coaches in high school at Carmel. It's great to be able to thank you both publicly, finally, for everything that you did. In retrospect, you guys ran such an amazing program there. And I really benefited from that in ways that you can only see when, looking back. There are some people who aren't here today that I'd like to thank. My parents who will be watching from afar. My family, we all live in Washington State, so this is a long trek. My parents were to every single meet, rain, shine, snow. They went a long distance across the state. They went across the country a couple of times with us, and we went to Boston, we went to Houston, went to all over the place, went to Fiji, or at least they let me go to Fiji with you. And they had such a they were so supportive, and I could never have accomplished what I did without them. A couple of coaches who are sadly no longer with us. My high jump coach, Steve Norris, he always had the right thing to say, always put in the extra effort. He had a teenager of his own at the time, so I think that maybe he just understood how to relate to a young guy in high school. He worked so hard. This honor belongs to him too. And then finally, one other guy, my ninth grade and first track coach, Kevin Carnes. He was my PE teacher and convinced me one day to stop being just a basketball player and try something else. I thought I was just going to be a basketball player. There is an interesting story with that I'll tell. I just intended to go in my ninth grade year to do something in the spring between regular basketball season and summer basketball season, which everyone here will fully understand. And I had two choices, golf or track, and I actually chose golf. And one day when it was time to go out for that sport, I forgot my clubs in my house. And so he convinced me that day. He said, "Well, what do you want to play golf for anyway? You can just do that on the weekends. You won't get another opportunity like this. What do you have to lose?" And he said something that I won't forget, which is, "You might be great. What if you're great?" And man, looking back on that was the best mistake I ever made. Because ever since then, track has just been the gift that keeps on giving. It's it taught me the value of hard work in ways that no other sport really can. That individual performance, it just really helps you draw such a direct line between hard work and success. I think everybody here really understands that. It taught me the value of perseverance. The only other story I'll tell is my senior year, right before the regional. I don't remember. I remember winning those championships, but the thing I really remember was that regional meet where I became very ill the night before and had to spend the night in the ER. I was hooked up to an IV, and they released me in the morning, and they said, "Well, yeah, you can go home and go to sleep." We called the school, and they said, "Actually, no. If you want to participate in that regional meet, you've got to go to school." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So I have to choose between a year's worth of hard work or getting the sleep that my body really needed. I felt like I'd been run over by a truck. But I grabbed a pillow from the hospital, went to school that day, powered through, went up to the meet, slept a half an hour on the way. I think I actually went up with my mom that day. I don't think I went on the bus, so you guys probably didn't see that. I had no uniform. I had no spikes. I borrowed Andy Morris's backup hurdling spikes that were 2 sizes too big. I stuffed them full of paper towels and extra socks, and I went out and hit the regional record that night. And so ever since then, it's that kind of thing, right? We all have a story like that. It's that kind of thing that you really just learn something about yourself in a sport like this. And so I've always appreciated that, and I've taken it with me forever. So it's also, track has also given me a great, you mentioned I went to Stanford. That was great. I had an amazing experience there. Vin Lanana was my coach, if you guys have heard of him. And Edric Florial, who's now the coach of Texas, was my coach. I met my wife on that track team. She was a 400 hurdler. She wishes that she could be here today and is very, very happy for me to be getting this honored. However, she is thoroughly unimpressed with my 2 state titles because she has 7 of her own in the state of Montana. I have to remind her that there's a lot more people in Indiana than there are in Montana. And now you guys are all giving me this one more great thing tonight. So thank you so much. Congratulations to all the other inductees. This is the thing that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. Thanks a lot.
Next up in our male athlete category, Deacon Volts from Bloomington South High School. Deacon was a 4-time conference, 4-time sectional, and 4-time regional champion in the pole vault. He medaled at the state meet all 4 years of high school, placing 8th as a freshman, was runner-up as a sophomore, and was the state champion as both a junior and a senior. In both of those years, he set new state records for the event with his best performance of those two, his senior year at 17 feet 6 inches. As a senior, He received the IHSA Mental Attitude Award for track and field. Among many other awards and honors, he holds multiple meet and facility records around the country, not just in Indiana. Deacon was a US ATF youth champion, a Junior Olympics national champion, a two-time mile split All-American, a DISTAT top 5 athlete, a two-time Indiana Gatorade Athlete of the Year. He was the pole vault champion for the Midwest Meet of Champions. He was the New Balance Indoor National Champion, setting a national indoor record with his vault of 17 feet, 11 and a quarter inches. And he was the Indiana USATF Male Athlete of the Year. Deacon went to Virginia Tech, where he was a 3-time ACC champion, a 6-time All-American, and he placed 3rd at the NCAA Indoor and Outdoor Championships. He won the U20 World Championship with a mark of 18 feet, 6.5 inches. And his 18-foot, 9-inch vault in 2020 qualified him for the Olympic trials. Congratulations, and I'm sorry, I should say one other thing, because I didn't know this until earlier today. But when you hit that mark for the U20s, if I'm not mistaken, your family was at Sam Bell's funeral. And so they, trying to keep things quiet and watch on their phones and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it was an interesting situation for them. But to do that without anybody there like that for your support, congratulations, and certainly welcome to the Hall of Fame, Deacon Volz.
How's it going, everybody? I'm not very good at public speaking, so I'll try and keep this as short and sweet as I possibly can. I'd like to, I guess, start by thanking Marshall Goss, the committee, and the museum. Walking around that place earlier was definitely something. It's really cool to see all the history of the state compiled and to see Indiana athletes getting the recognition in track and field. It's not normally something that we're used to getting, so it's amazing to see, and I appreciate everything that you guys do. Public speaking's hard. Yeah. I'm certainly not the most traditionally talented athlete that you'll ever see. I'm not the fastest, not the strongest, not the most technically gifted, to be sure, but one of the things that I did have was one of the best support systems that anyone could ever ask for. I had parents that would drive me to meets all over the country. I had a dad that doubled as a coach, so I had an Olympian level coach from day one. It's pretty hard to ask for anything better than that. Grandparents that would come to the meets, and brothers, older brothers that pole vaulted before me that set the scaffolding and created a fun competitive atmosphere for me as I was growing up, and you know, something to strive for, something to compete for. Medical staff and all kinds of things going for me that made up for what I lacked. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank them for everything that they've done for me. But thank you, guys.
Also from Bloomington South High School, Drew Volz. As a freshman, Drew split his time between the junior varsity baseball team and pole vaulting. Competing against his senior brother, Drake, the two won every meet that year, splitting their wins evenly 50-50. Drew missed qualifying for the state meet by 1 place, and baseball was out the window forever. He went undefeated in the vault during the regular season each of his next 3 years. As a sophomore, he finished 8th at the state meet and then won back-to-back state championships as a junior and a senior. He overcame multiple stress fractures in his back in doing so. He finished his high school career with a personal best of 16 feet 8 inches. And like his brother Deacon, Drew was selected the IHSAA Track and Field Mental Attitude Award winner his senior year. Drew attended the University of South Florida, where he was the Big East champion and was an academic All-American. He transferred from Indiana University, where he reached his career best with a leap of 18 feet 6 inches. Drew also qualified for and competed in the 2016 and 2020 Olympic pole vault trials. Congratulations and welcome to the Hall of Fame, Drew Volz.
Well, I've got to say I am absolutely just honored to be here and to be inducted into this Hall of Fame. Thank you so much for making me a part of this. My brother Deacon was just talking about, having a lack of natural raw talent and things of that sort, and yada, yada, yada. And well, that just made me think, one of my best memories, so he's 4 years younger than me, so I had already gone through and I'd won 2 state championships and whatnot, and I was actually back in town for a track meet of his, and this was while I was still in college, so it was kind of, I was just fresh out of high school, really, and I came back to a track meet, and some kid came up to me, he's like, I recognize you. I was like, thinking like, okay, yeah, and he goes, you're Deacon's brother. So, anything he's lacking, I was definitely lacking more. But truly, really, I owe this all to my parents. My mom, my dad, the support they gave me was incredible. They wouldn't miss a meet. So my dad was my coach and my mom was my travel agent. And one of my craziest memories there with them not missing a meet, it was just, I was at the University of South Florida. That's where I went my first 2 years. And it was just a regular meet, nothing special about it. And my parents drove all the way down for the meet. And then as soon as the meet was over, they took off and left and drove right back home. I wouldn't even have done that for myself. So thank you so much for being there. I also want to thank Marshall and everybody else who has put this on. I just can't imagine how much work and goes into putting something like this together. So thank you so much, and thank you for letting me be part of it.
So while you're on your way back there, I would like to ask Dave and Deacon to stand up, and then Drew, when you get there, stand up. Stand up. Yeah, S-T-A-N-D-U-P. There we go. Okay. For those of you that are not aware, at the Hall of Fame Museum, we have what is called a family exhibit. And the Volzes are prominently featured in that exhibit. Right now, as you look at them, those 3 guys standing back there in the back of the room, you're looking at 3 two-time state champions in the pole vault. You're looking at 3 over 18 feet 6 inches. And you're looking at 3 either Olympic or Olympic trial athletes. I have heard, I think we missed your picture. Sorry, you come on back up here. Or you want all 3? I'm sorry, all 3, come on up. All 3, we're going to take a picture. How about that? The boss man, Marshall Goss, says all 3 Volzes get up here. Do you want Marcy up here too? Should we get Marcy up here? Okay. The travel agent, no frequent flyer miles for this. Okay, that's all right. Yeah, exactly. I have heard you gentlemen, I've also heard most of our inductees tonight talk about You know, what Marshall, the Hall of Fame Museum, has done and means for track and field and cross country in Indiana, and I couldn't agree more. So let's give Marshall Goss, first of all, a round of applause for all his efforts in keeping this baby going. The only brick and mortar building in America for a track and field high school hall, and I know we have college and Olympians and everything else there too, but I mean, it basically starts out with the high school, a Hall of Fame, a brick and mortar building. But yes. But I mean, this is royalty right here, okay? At least it's pole vaulting royalty, and I want to thank you for what you have done, not only for pole vaulting, but for track and field in Indiana, the three of you, and your travel agent. Thank you, guys. Next up is our coaches category, and at this time I'd like to call forth Terry Lakes from Marion High School. So Terry and I kind of switched suit coats. If you were at the museum earlier today, Terry had purple on and I had blue on, and then now that you've got blue on and I got purple on, so that's okay. Terry ran cross country and track at Richmond High School for Dave Powers, who is a Hall of Fame member, and Eastern Kentucky University. He has been an English teacher at Marion High School for 40 years, and God bless you for doing that. Yeah, who was it here that said, Coach, I'm sorry about my English? Who was it? Oh, it was Paige. Okay, yeah, okay. So Paige, that corner over there, that wooden thing in the corner there, nose up against it right now per Terry Lakes. He has also coached track and field and cross country at Marion for 32 of his 35 years. The other 3 took place in Florida. In track and field, Terry's teams have won the North Central Conference titles, has won 8 North Central Conference titles, 17 sectionals, and 6 regionals. In cross country, his teams have won 7 North Central Conference titles, 11 sectionals, and 2 regionals. Terry has coached 1 state champion, 4 state runner-ups, and over 100, yes, you heard that right, over 100 state qualifiers, and had 28 all-state athletes in both sports. He has been named North Central Conference Coach of the Year for boys track and field 7 times. He was the coach of the Indiana Cross Country All-Stars for 10 years and was the IAT CCC president from 2013 to 2015. He is the current meet director for the NAIA National Championships and is one of the meet directors for the Hoosier State Relays. He previously has been inducted into the Marion High School Hall of Distinction, the Marion High School Athletic Hall of Fame, and the Grant County Athletic Hall of Fame. In 2018, Terry received a tremendous honor when the Marion Track and Field Complex was named after himself. Congratulations, Terry, and welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Thank you. You know, when I saw my picture and name as the last person to go, I was a little worried. The last time I was the anchor leg was the conference meet in 1982 in Middle Tennessee, and, well, I'll just say we got 3rd. We were winning when I got the baton, but I am not an 800 runner, so blame Coach Erdman for that. You know, I've been coming to this for years and years and years, and you know, as coaches and athletes, we're very competitive. So I put together my top 3 longest speeches that I heard here, and beginning with number 3, I think it was Mike Davidson. Mike, you're number 3. Number 2, close to the top one, was Chuck Keppen. I think that was the first one my wife went to, and I think she went back to the room and took a nap and came back, Chuck. And all of us will agree on this one. The longest one had to be Barry Peterson. I think Barry's son took a half hour to introduce him, so that kind of added to it. So, no, I'm humbled and I'm honored by this, and I want to say congratulations to all of my fellow inductees. You know, nobody starts coaching and think, hey, I want to be in the Hall of Fame. And when I started back in 1982 in Pompano Beach, I was just trying to stay alive. And as a teacher, as a human being, you know, the hayseed from Indiana trying to get on I-95. And I remember the principal telling me, hey, congratulations, you're our new head coach. I didn't know what I was doing. We had the triple jump, for gosh sakes. And he said, by the way, you're hosting the district meet of 23 teams. That was my beginning. And it was a failure. I was terrible at it. But over the years, I learned quite a bit. I want to thank Marshall and your committee, and, you know, what a spectacular place it is. And when we got the building, one of our custodians had found in the bowels of Marion High School a cup from, I think, 1904 maybe. And that was one of the first artifacts that was donated to the, Hall of Fame. So very proud that that's in there. Paige Brunner, one of my athletes there. Here he is as the president of the association. My high school coach, Dave Bowers, who is a Hall of Famer, and he was the president of the association. And when I came back to Indiana, started coaching, he said, whatever you do, get involved in the association. And so he kind of paid it forward to me. I paid it forward to Paige. Hopefully Paige will pay that forward to one of his athletes someday. I want us to have a lot of thank yous. You know, as everybody said here, you don't get here by yourself, that's for sure. I want to thank Marion Community Schools, Marion High School, and the Marion community, the administration, especially Jim Fricke, who was the AD at the time, took a chance on me a long time ago. I told Vicki we moved to Marion. We'd gotten married that summer between Florida and here, and I said, we'll be in Marion for 2 years. That was 1985. And we are still there, and we are very glad. You know, it's a great community to live in, and I have two friends here from the community. Dr. Jeff Bragg's a close friend of ours. I met, he was off a state championship basketball team in 1976 there. We all know what basketball means to Indiana, and especially to Marion. So when I coached track, it was a hard push to get ourselves, you know, in the part of the spotlight that was there. Next is Dave Keller, my pickleball buddy back there, made the trip from here and was one of my vice principals for a few years, and I appreciate him being here. All my assistant coaches, Eric Koniema, Warren Krabby, Tony Marillion, Nate Larson, who has the program for the boys now and is an assistant in cross country. I want to thank them. I have a special thank you to Darlene Bridgman. Wave back there, Darlene. I know how you like to be in the limelight. Darlene and I coached together for 32 years at Marion. It has to be one of the longest coaching tenures in Marion history. She was level-headed, unlike me. She was a great teacher. She was a confidant. We used to tease and say she was my work wife because we took, can't tell you how many bus rides we took together. And so she was very special. And I also want to, thank especially the athletes and their families. I talked about Paige, his dad's here. Josh Colvin, where's Josh? Back there. Josh was my neighbor. Josh was, we got him started running when I was still running back then. He kind of got the program on the right, I guess, plane to where we needed to go. He and I both ran for the same college coach. My influences were from great coaches. My high school coach, Dave Bowers, was a great coach. As I said, he was the former president of the association. He's a member of the Hall. He taught us about success, and he coached the right way. And I knew in high school, I want to be a coach. And I thought to myself, I want to be a coach like Coach Bowers. Also, Marshall, you didn't know it, but you were a guy that I was looking at when we would run those meets at Bryan Park. I had no idea. I've told Marshall 100 times, how did you put all of those people and all of those teams in this tiny little park? And it was a competitive meet, the Bloomington South, those class races that were there. And Marshall certainly showed me, without me even knowing, how you put on a good meet. Not to mention how you treat your athletes, whether it was Tomasic or Harris or Woodley. Those were all my years. Those were class guys, and we really, at Richmond, thought those guys were wonderful human beings, and I think that comes from your coaching. Other coaches that were opponents, Rick Stucker back there. I knew Rick when he's a member of this Hall of Fame. Coached at Kokomo for, I don't know, a couple of years there, Rick. 53 is all he coached at Kokomo, and he was a young, brash coach, and you know, we didn't like him when I was at Richmond. We loved to beat him. Then I got to know him, and I think, you know, he's an okay guy. Mike Chastain, Mike from Culver Academies. I always thought if I could be as classy as Mike, but that's not going to happen, okay, then my life will be complete as a coach. Steve Edwards. Steve couldn't make it. He took me to lunch the other day. Steve was at Muncie Northside and had some great teams during those 70s. And he was my superintendent, and the best superintendent I ever had. Don't tell Keith that, okay? Mike Holman, who was at LC and Marion University, taught me a lot. Chuck Keppen, known Chuck for years. Chuck, when I was in high school, that's where I got to know Chuck. And then after I started coaching, Chuck always had a kind word and made me laugh. So I enjoyed that. John Foss at IWU was also kind of a co-coach for me, helped me with a lot of things, especially Bob Potter. Bob, you know, he's the, and Lane will tell you this, he's the driving force in the HSR. I've never seen somebody like Bob. You know, he is like a badger. I mean, he just keeps after it. But more than helping and riding on his coattails for that, as a young coach, when Bob would bring those great teams in the 90s up and just kill us in this duel or triangular with Anderson, and then Anderson got scared and ran. Bob would come up, and I had a mother one time said, "Why do we run them? They are way better than we are." And I said, as long as I have any athlete that I think can make the state finals, we're going to run Lawrence North. And Bob helped me and probably kept my sprinters from being hurt all the time because I asked his advice, and Bob certainly helped me there. My family, my mom and dad both, my dad was a baseball guy. He goes, "Why do I buy you a pair of $24 Nikes back then, and then you throw up on them? I don't get this sport of yours." Now, he was a pack-a-day camel smoker, right? And he would say, "And by the way, you're running around town half naked with that long hair and those little bitty shorts." And he said, "I'm kind of embarrassed at church, okay? I'm just telling you that." But both of them, I was from a working class family. They had a great work ethic. They taught me about that. They taught me about dedication. They taught me of how to stick with something. So I really am happy about that. You know, as coaches, people will say, "Oh, you are such a, you know, selfless person." Well, not really. As coaches with our families, we're very selfish. Because my family and my wife, I'll talk about her in a minute, had to put up with taking our boys to all of their events because I was with somebody else's kids on Saturdays or during the week and so forth. And so, you know, my boys, two of them are here. Matthew, who is the current head cross-country coach, head girls coach at Marion High School. My other son, Elliot, who is the throws coach at Muncie Central and is going to be the assistant coach in cross-country this year. And his wife, Megan, who couldn't be here. And my youngest son, Taylor, hopefully he's watching on the live stream. He was the one who didn't teach. The rest of us did. Probably a good thing he didn't teach. He probably wouldn't be teaching anymore, or he'd be in jail. I don't know. He doesn't have the patience that I do. But the sacrifice that they made for me, it was a pretty selfish thing, I think, for me, of what I've done all of those years. And most of all is my wife, Vicki. You know, behind every coach, there's a great spouse, you know. And Ann, I don't know how many meets you've been to or, you know, of track things. And Vicki's heard the same stories over and over. She heard them again tonight. So she always listens to those because it was so important for her to always be there for me. There would be no success for me and our teams without her because there was unconditional love there. She allowed me to follow my passion and sometimes had to sacrifice her things. So I know that currently the program is in great shape at Marion. When Nate was coaching with me, I knew I could retire because I knew he was going to do it well and he was going to do it the right way. okay? And Matthew with the cross country and track and field also. And Nate's wife, Donnell's back there. She also helps with the program. They're a couple that was made in heaven. They met at IW track. So they're a track couple that's there. And there were so many special moments over the 35 years of coaching. And it's not about championships. I mean, I like those. We all do. But as any coach will tell you, that the championships are nice and memorable, but the relationships that you make with athletes, with their parents, with other coaches, so many of you coaches, you know, I've known you for a long, long time. And, you know, you're my track family. For years and years, we've told lies to each other. Well, some of them were true, some of them weren't, but we were close. But seeing your athletes becoming productive in their communities, in parenting, and just in life in general has been much more rewarding than watching them hit a PR. And so, like any good speaker and English teacher, I will leave you with two quotes. I couldn't decide on which one. And both of them are by John Wooden, a fellow Hoosier who coached right here at ISU at one point in his life, right? The first one says, "Success comes from knowing that you did your best to become the best that you are capable of becoming." And the second one, I think, is much more important. And the quote is, "A good coach can change a game. A great coach can change a life." Thank you.
We have one more inductee in the contributor category, and unfortunately, that's me. So if you will bear with us just a minute, I'm going to switch roles, and Hall of Fame Vice President John Seo is going to take over the MC duties. John?
Thank you, Kevin. Before I start, yesterday was Marshall Goss's birthday, and you know how much he has put this whole thing, the museum, this banquet, everything together. Appreciate everything you do, Marshall, and happy birthday. Our final inductee is Kevin Horgan in the contributor category. Kevin Horgan got his start in cross country and track and field while student teaching for Joe Heitzman at Louisville St. Xavier High School. Joe encouraged him to get involved, and as luck would have it, St. X won both state championships that year. Kevin spent 40 years teaching, coaching, and athletic directing at St. Andrew's Grade School, Chittard High School, Rebuff Jesuit, Lawrence Central High School, Greenfield Central High School. While at Chittard, he helped lead the program to multiple city sectional championships, including the first time a Catholic school had ever won the City of Indianapolis track and field championships. He had the distinct pleasure to work with 3 All-Americans, including fellow Hall of Famer James Murphy, who's here tonight, who was an All-American in cross country and in the 1600 meter. Terry Franklin was also an All-American in the long jump. James was a state champion in the 1600 meter and state runner-up in cross country and the 800 meters. Terry was a state runner-up in the long jump and the 200. Chittard had 2 other state runners-up and numerous 3rd to 9th place finishers. He was athletic director at Rebuff, Lawrence Central, and Greenfield Central. You kind of get the idea that he can't hold a job down. Okay. I got him, Dick. Okay. But he took time away so he could be the athletic director and oversee 20 sports, not just track and field and cross country. He also started more and more officiating cross country and track and field meets. Following retirement, Kevin became the high jump and pole vault coach at Guerin Catholic High School in 2016 and continues in that capacity today. His boys and girls have tied or broken indoor-outdoor school records at Guerin 37 times and participated in indoor and outdoor state championships 12 times. He has twice been selected as an Indiana head boys coach for the Midwest Meet of Champions and as a 26-year member of IATCC. Kevin met Marshall Goss in 1976, and Marshall convinced him to become a track official, thus beginning a journey that continues to this day. He is this year going to reach his 700th cross-country or track meet, and this includes everything from 3rd and 4th grade elementary meets to the United States versus Russia meet, Big Tens, NCAAs, the National Sports Festival, the Pan Am Games, and the Olympic trials, and the first World Indoor Track and Field Championships. For the past 33 years, Kevin has been in charge of the finish line at the IHSAA boys and girls state track meets, as well as 11 years as the IHSAA state unified track meet supervisor. Kevin is Kevin is the state IHSAA State Boys Basketball Championship Tournament Director and the IHSAA Assistant State Girls Basketball Championship Director. Kevin was inducted in the National Athletic Directors Hall of Fame in 2018 and in the Greenfield Central Athletic Hall of Fame in 2019. Since 2020, Kevin has been a member of the Board of Directors for the Hall of Fame Museum and enjoys his time working up here with the Wednesday gang, as we call it. I present to you Kevin Horgan.
Thank you, John. And John, I found out, was the one that actually nominated me for this great honor. So, John, I very much appreciate your input into my somehow making it into this magnificent, august body. I would like to certainly congratulate all the fellow inductees from this evening. Well-deserving. I don't know necessarily that I belong in the same group as you do. It's amazing the accomplishments that you all have done over your careers, and you've heard a lot about that today. It's certainly a very humbling experience, but it's also a very joyful experience. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee. I'd like to thank my family. Thank goodness for live streaming. I have 2 sisters and their families in Colorado. I have one nephew who's a country star, and he's got a show tonight, so they decided to go see him rather than me, but hey, what do I know? And then my brother and his wife are in Batesville. I am very pleased. Steve, my son, is here. Thank you for being here, Steve. And when you get home later, do me a favor. Oh, you're not going home? Oh, okay. That look, I was a little worried there. Okay, so no, give the 2 granddaughters hugs and kisses for me, will you, please? I think a lot has been said tonight about different things, and a lot of Terry's comments I would certainly echo. Track and field and cross country are wonderful sports. For me, it's always been a chess match. And if you don't play chess or don't like chess, then bear with me just for a minute. But when you go up against other coaches to try and figure out what they're going to do with their athletes and then counteract that, there's something magical about doing that. And I had my spies out everywhere, especially in Carmel and Lawrence North and Warren Central and North Central and Gary Roosevelt. Well, the ones at Gary never gave me any good reports. But anyway, and this is before the internet, so our spies were with binoculars in the woods watching your practices, just so you know, okay? But no, and my assistant coaches we would sit down and we would talk over things like, how can we do this? How can we do that? And I have to say that a lot of the times we were able to combat some things that some of the coaches did. And that's another great thing about the sport of track and cross country is some sports, there's jealous factors there. and people don't want to share stuff. But I can tell you, I could pick up a phone and call any coach in the state of Indiana at any time and ask them, hey, look, I got this kid, they're struggling, or I don't know what I'm doing, or whatever, and they talk you through it, and they tell you something. They'll give you a drill. They'll help you out, whatever. And that is very much, I think, appreciated if you're a track and cross-country coach because of that camaraderie. We're all in the same boat together, and we're all trying to make kids better, help them out, become champions, etc. And champions can be defined not only by first place, but I beat my time even though I'm a 32-minute, 100-yard dash guy. So, I want to salute all the coaches I've ever coached against. I will also say that I want you guys here tonight to know that I watch the eyes of Keppen and McNulty and Potter in particular, and a few of the other ones that are in here, because when Murphy and Kinghorn and Kellison walked in here, there was some fear and trepidation in their minds. That we got to go against those guys again, and I think they're going to have nightmares tonight, but that's okay. My assistant coaches, I think Terry said it. You're nowhere without other people. You can't coach every single event in track and field. So, I was blessed over my career with people like, Ron Dietz and Bill Tucker and Ollie Thibodeau. Bill and Ollie are here tonight, and Chuck Schwanekamp and Vince Kinney, and that was when I was at Chittard. And then at Guerin, again, 10 years ago, I got there. I was voluntold by my two nephews and niece, hey, we need a pole vault high jump coach. Come help us. Okay, fine. So the coaches there, and there were 3 of them that were at the museum today during that portion of the program. And it was very nice, unexpected. I didn't think they would be there. But they're great guys. They work hard, and they're trying to make our kids better all the time. And unfortunately, you put those 3 guys together, add up their ages, and it doesn't come close to mine. So, they are keeping me young. I will say that. But yeah, I'm the gray hair in that bunch, and they got a long, long career ahead of all of them. But I thank them. I thank all the assistant coaches. I want to thank my athletes. The kids got to do it at some particular point. You can point them in the right direction. A couple people have talked about the influences of coaches in their lives, and hopefully it's all been good and positive. I've always enjoyed watching kids succeed, and some you might enjoy a little bit more than others, but you enjoy them all because they all work hard. The only ones you maybe don't enjoy are the ones that they're out there for the social thing and they're not working hard, okay? Other than that, all those kids are really good. And just to see them become successful in something, may not be track, maybe it's in business, maybe it's in military, whatever it happens to be. But I want to thank all of the kids that I ever coached at any school I ever worked at. I'm grateful that Eric is here because without Eric, well, 2 things. One, Eric, thank you. I still have my Franklin Central State medal that you gave me after winning state championship in cross country. I appreciate that. But more importantly, you saved my son's life. Now, not many people would know that. I don't even know if Eric and my son remember. Oh, they're shaking their heads. Yes. Okay, it's coming back now. Good. So my son was driving his car, and all of a sudden, okay, you think about the last couple of IndyCar races, and you see like Alexander Rossi and his car's on fire in the pits, and anyway, all of a sudden, Steve's car is on fire. It came through underneath his feet and is up into the compartment when he's driving, and he's like, I'm trying to crawl out the window and stop the car at the same time. When he did, finally, and he ran to the first house he could see, who was it? Eric Kellison. And so Eric and he, until, well, I called the fire department, but then they came out with, I think it was water balloons, and tried to put out the fire. But anyway, thank you for saving my son's life. I certainly very much appreciate that, because without that I wouldn't have 2 granddaughters, okay? So again, with all the kids, Terry said a couple of things, and I wasn't going to put this in here, but it jogged my memory, Terry, and I appreciate you doing that. And one of them is like, like the parent that says, why are we running this team? Okay, yeah, I've had that. I've been down that road myself. My favorite, James and Bill and Ollie would be the only ones that remember this. Eric and Kirby, you weren't there yet. You're still at St. Pius or wherever. But North Central called and had lost a meet. Indianapolis, Washington refused to run them or something. So they said, hey, would you come up and run us? So my very first year that we ran Chittard, James, you were a freshman. And we go up there. I mean, North Central is the sectional and regional track. Why not go there, right? I mean, I'm a newbie at Chittard. It's no big deal. Well, in track and field at that time, a perfect score in a meet, because we didn't have all the events we have today, would be 127 to nothing. We go there and we get beat 119 to 8. And 8 points were scored by Mr. James Murphy, a freshman. Won the 16 and runner-up in the 800. I was so mad. We got on the bus out in the parking lot. North Central was 5 miles away from Chittard. I would be fired for doing this today, but I checked, and the statute of limitations runs out after 45 years, and it's been 48. So, fortunately, I can reveal this now. I kind of reamed everybody out and said, we will never lose to North Central again like that. This is ridiculous, and you're a bunch of chicken. Anyway, so I made everybody get off the bus with their implements if they were a field eventer. So, Zoe, you'd have been carrying the poles, okay, and shot puts, discs, etc. And I said, I don't care how you get back. I'll be waiting for you at the parking lot. And, oh, by the way, Mr. Murphy, you can stay on the bus because you're the only one that scored points. Now, here he is. Go. Yeah, we only got one person. Well, I got the assistant coaches. Bill was there. Okay, so yeah, you're right. We saved gas money that day, didn't we? But yeah, I tell you what the result of that was, not the next year, but 9 years later, we almost beat North Central, except we didn't have a 4x4 relay, and they did. We were ahead of them and going into that meet by 2 points. They scored enough points to beat us by 2 points. So they were second in the state, we were third in the state. But again, you see the difference. And Terry, that's kind of what you're talking about, why you run those people. Try and get better and get your kids better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I know that, and again, as John said, I do enjoy working here at the Hall of Fame. It's been just a wonderful experience for me. But, you know, I know this award, it goes to me, you know, my picture's on the plaque and so on and so forth. But I got to tell you, even though it has my name on it, it's for everybody I've ever worked with, assistant coaches, everybody I've ever worked with as an athletic director and maybe hired you as a coach, everybody I've ever coached against because you made me better in some capacity, and certainly for all my athletes. And many of them are here, and I appreciate everything you guys have done and have had great careers yourself. So I want to say thank you to everybody. And we're not quite done, almost. If you would check the center pages of your program, which I believe are pages 35 and 36, even though there's no numbers there. So everybody start counting. No, I'm just kidding. Look for the Harold Vaughn page. I think one side is an ad supporting him, and the other side is his bio and picture. And if you happen to see Marshall Goss's autograph on one of those two pages, congratulations, you are a winner. Sorry, not for tonight's lottery drawings, but better than that, you get to take the centerpiece home with you. There you go. So, look in those programs. At this time, I would like to ask all of the inductees, when we are done here, to come forward right here in front of this table. Bring your plaques with you. We're going to get a group photo taken. To everyone else, we thank you for being here this evening to help celebrate and honor our class of 2025 inductees. This concludes our program. Feel free to stay and mingle. Safe travels to all as you make your way back home. Let's go Pacers tomorrow night, and have a good evening.